Welcome back to Scavtalk, everyone. Today's episode on the agenda is arena, cheating, loadout presets. That's what we're talking about today. So, oh boy, it's going to be a fun one. Giga, how's it going?
It is going good.
Mm-hmm.
It is going good. Tarkov has been steady, I would say. I've lost a little bit of survival rate. It's not been quite as crazy as it was previously. I'm still at 67, mostly carried by my previous success, but it's still going okay. I managed to get to level 29 and then squeaked out level 30 off stream doing gunsmith and I did one Jaeger task. You have to go to, you get this book, the nostalgia one. It gives you 15k XP, something like that. So
wow.
I did that and squeaked out level 30 so I could start upgrading the modules while I'm offline and doing vids and stuff, because it just takes so long. I was like, man, I don't want to just sit here, wait for 3 days, do nothing, then get level 30 on the stream and then be backed up on all of this hideout stuff. So did that. Oh man, the last part of the last stream was really funny because I was like, look, we don't really have time to do a full, I'm kind of tired as well. I'm gonna go, but I was like, I will stay if you guys want to see a vitality cheesing run. I never do these on stream.
I tuned in for that.
Yeah, man, it was funny. And people were like, "Yeah, let's do it." And so we basically spent 30 minutes rubbing our faces to bar on Shoreline and just having a good old chat with Twitch chat and YouTube chat, which was funny actually. It was entertaining, so that was good. But yeah, no, things are going well. The other part for me, which is actually really exciting, personally, is a real life hideout upgrade. Yes, that's it. Real life hideout upgrade. I had the people turn up on, when was it? What day is it today? It's Friday. So yeah, they turned up on Tuesday, I think it was, and and they put solar panels on my roof. I've been looking at it for ages. Finally got the upgrade. Got solar panels IRL, which is pretty sick. So
that's cool, dude.
I've got a whole monitoring thing with it, which I've just been nerding out over. It's actually really distracting. There's charts and all sorts of stuff, and I'm just looking at it, how can I optimize this and stuff. It's super fun. I feel enjoyed myself so much with it, genuinely.
That's cool.
But I'm switching myself over to these tariffs and things. I'm waiting so that I can redistribute electricity back to the grid. But I've been strategizing. Okay, what's the best way? Because there's 3 different rates. There's the normal rate, the low rate, and the night, and then we've got battery as well. So you can kind of you can import at cheap times and export at expensive times and stuff. So it's I don't know, it's perfect. It's perfect for me. I love it. I've been nerding out. It's been good. So that's cool. Hopefully my my streaming antics won't cost me quite as much in electricity, because it's expensive over here. It's only just come down a tiny little bit, but it's still at record highs, the electricity price. So yep, it's decent. It's decent. So that's what's been going on with me. How about you?
Not much, man. Just staying busy. Played a little bit of Tarkov this week. I was telling you earlier, I did a quest on Shoreline before the release of Armored Core. I am pretty stoked. I played a couple hours yesterday. I was pretty tired, so I didn't get to play a lot. So I got logged off early, but it's good. It's just right up my alley. It's just tons of customization is basically the meat and potatoes, but the combat also was really fun. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. I'm probably gonna be playing that for a bit, and maybe Tarkov in between. Probably not though. We'll see. I get the Tarkov itch a bit, but now that this is out, I don't know. Might be scratching a different type of itch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Do you think it's worth playing? I think I might be able to get access to it from special creative thingy. I don't know, but I was just I don't really know much about it that particularly.
It's an interesting one because it's not people, the FromSoft fans / the Dark Souls fans, they're the big fans, and they have all been reviewing it. They say it's good, but a lot of them think that it's not going to be as popular as say Elden Ring. It just doesn't have that mass appeal.
Yeah.
But it incorporates a lot of back in the old days. I can't remember if we talked about this or somewhere else, but in some of the older series, you could basically ammo spent, you had to pay ammo after a mission and repair costs and casualties and things like this. You could go broke and the game would just end and it would start you over, but you would get a permanent bonus for the next start. Okay. But anyways, it was a whole system, but it's not that punishing. They have this thing where you fight a boss, you lose, right? You can choose to change your build, whereas previously, like, you were just stuck there. You
Mm.
lost the boss, you lost the mission, game over. Like, you just lose. So it's like they've taken some of the like their whole, I mean, all the years of experience they have of all different games and applied it, because you can feel like there's a dodge mechanic. It's like very similar to like Elden Ring or like Dark Souls. So
That's cool.
it's got inspirations from, it's like been modernized and improved. And thus far, like, I'm pleasantly, there's like a lot of mechanics that I'm learning. So it's cool. I'm enjoying it so far.
Excellent. Maybe I'll check it out.
Yeah, it might be worth something
I'll
looking
check it
into.
So, what
In
were we
other
talking about first? We were
news-
talking about Arena, right? That's
Yeah.
the topic du jour number one.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
So, BSG have been busy teasing the community / announcing stuff / all sorts of weird things going on. I feel like it's been very fragmented. I mean, I've been very fragmented with actually trying to keep up with what's going on as well, to be honest with you. So I do apologize if anything I've like missed anything or whatever. But Arena, well, I can't even remember what order things happened in. Did they do that stream first? We knew that BSG were going to Cologne, and we knew that they were going to be showing off copies of Arena there. So I think content creators could get to go and play it in Cologne at Gamescom, which they're there now actually, and I think Glorious and a few other creators are there at the moment. And I don't think members of the public could play, but I think creators who'd sort of signed up and are like known to BSG could go and give it a test run. I know they were being quite what's the word? They're being quite not secretive, but protective over like content that gets produced around like Gamescom and Arena at Gamescom, because obviously they want to keep hold of all of that and make sure they control it the way they want to do it, as is usual BSG fashion, which was one of the reasons why I ended up like not wanting to bother going. Like, it would have been good to meet everybody, but like, you can't really make any content about any of the stuff. They kind of prohibited that, so I was like, well, it's just like it's difficult to get to Cologne. It's not that straightforward from where I am, and like I have to stay overnight. I don't know anybody there, and all of that kind of stuff. So I just decided like, well, I don't think it really justifies it. But so people are there. We're seeing some like screenshots or teasers and some videos of people playing. There's like mobile phone videos of people playing Arena, I guess, have been endorsed by BSG or whatever. And then there was a really strange live stream on their Twitch channel, which was basically like Skiff from the Raid series, who I think died. I can't even remember. It was like, it's been ages since I watched the first set, but like Nice Guy said that he died. I couldn't remember. And he was there in the hideout and like with some of the other guys. I mean, they were all just like dressed up, whatever. And they did actually do quite a good job of like making it look like the hideout. Like the rest space area did actually look like it. They had like the PlayStation and stuff. Like it looked like the hideout.
It did.
Because somebody actually on Twitter commented on, I think it was maybe Nice Guy's post, and said, "Why are they playing on PlayStation?" I said, "Look, because it's supposed to be this. Like this is what it's supposed to look like," which was pretty fun. But people kept asking me like, "Oh, are you watching the VSC live stream?" And I was like, "Dude, it's like 5 hours of just like guys sitting in a room."
It's like
I'm not going to be watching that. Like, I don't have time to just sit there and watch this. But there was like a few code. There was a code that they had on a piece of paper that they brought up. That if you put the code in, you put the code in the launcher and it like gives you free stuff. And I think Friendly Guy put it up on his Twitter and was just like, "Oh, new code, guys!" And I copy pasted it, put it in straight away, and it was literally like a single toilet roll.
Yeah, got him.
I was like, "Wow, that's good." But then they had this like funny scene planned a little bit after that, after they showed the code, where he had all these toilet rolls, they all went out of control, and he was trying to get them back in the box, and they were like all over the hideout. It was quite funny actually, but I don't know. It was just they had some like stupid skits like that. I didn't watch anything else after that. I think there was another code that I saw and put in. It was like a non-finding rate filter and like some other really low level stuff. So it really wasn't anything of any consequence as far as I could see. But I think there were some ARG things going on at the same time with that. There's like a bunch of users. They were in their Intel center and stuff was happening. I don't know anything about what happened there because I don't think Nice Guy's made a video about it yet. Because if he hasn't about the ARG, I'm just not connected to that part of the community. And it's so separate from what happens in the game most of the time that it's like the code breaking guys who like, it's a new ARG. They like wake up and just, come and do this. Like half of them probably don't even play Tarkov, but there's a whole community of people who just like do ARGs, which is pretty fun. Anyway, so yeah, there's some ARG stuff going on with that. And the culmination of basically all of these things, Arena got, what we were talking about, what you'd even call it beforehand, is like the pre-sale, right?
Pre-order. You can pre-order. It's official. It's officially released for pre-orders.
Yeah.
Date to be determined.
Indeed. So you can now go to the official website, arena.tarkov.com,
Yes.
and it says pre-order and trailer. And yeah, it's like some information about what's 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 going to happen when you play the game or whatever. I mean, I guess it doesn't have any release dates or anything like that, but um, people are presuming that it will happen either with the December wipe or before. I mean, it could be after. Who really knows? But I think the assumption is it'll probably be before December. I still think it might be like, yeah, halfway in between, something like October, September, October, something like that. Could be the end of next month, I
I
suppose.
don't
But
know. Well, you mean as far as early access? Because there's if this is kind of confusing thing. So like, because I saw it and I didn't realize. I guess like a hey PSA. If you have the Edge of Darkness edition, you need to log in to the Arena website with your Tarkov account, the EOD one, and then like claim that you have access to the early access because it's like right here, like Rigi Edition, Escape from Tarkov, Edge of Darkness owners get access to Arena for free. Early access to Escape from Tarkov Arena closed beta tests. So like, I believe if you have either the Rigi Edition slash EOD, it's a little confusing. Then you get obviously you get Arena when it comes out, but also you get the beta tests as well. And I guess you also get the Rigi gear preset also.
yeah, the cracked out preset, which is what the double barrel sawn off shotty.
Yes. Now
Pretty entertaining.
this is interesting. I might be jumping ahead a bit. But the fact that it says free and there's also some other currency like MP 4,500, don't know what that means. You got like a little eye spectator icon on the bottom left, don't know what that means. There's like a plus 10% ruble account. Like, what is all this? Like, I'm thinking. Well, I mean, this jumps
Where does it
into.
say that? Is this on the main page?
Yes, if you go to the Arena pre-order page,
Yeah.
and you log in, you hover over Reggie's gear presets, it will like flash two different screens, one of the preset of the gear, and then the other of the actual like contents of the gear, the double barrel shotgun, and
I
etc.
don't even see. Is that on the pre-order section?
Yeah. I could take a screenshot or
I don't see. Oh, I see. You actually. Oh, I see. Oh, I missed this completely. So you have to hover. Wait, where do you even hover? Oh, there's a little dot dot dot. It says It's the third bullet point. Reggie's gear preset, and you hover over. I see. I missed that. I didn't actually see that. Okay, I understand now. I understand.
So it's. I mean, I like I said, I feel like I might be jumping ahead, so stop me if I am. But it's interesting because we've seen previous teasers or slides from Nikita and BSG and the team about Arena, and you see like these preset loadouts, and they're like characters, PMCs dressed up, geared up, and then they got like different kits, Ash 12s, SVDs, AKs, whatever. But they have like ruble associate next to them, like 50,000 rubles, 60,000 rubles,
Yeah.
and hearing from oh god, what was the source? Was it Nice Guy? Or just general Tarkov stuff. It seems like there's gonna be some type of currency involved with the game, as well as ranking. And now we know that I think from whatever's happened on the weekend, source, trust me, bro. There's gonna be like shared um stash, like some type of shared. Let me see if I can find. I know I had someone posted about it. So here we go. This is from Nice Guy. You can level your character from the base game in Arena. 2 games, 1 character. This is from the Arena site I'm reading here. Win game and your character's win games and your character's level, skill, and weapon mastering will grow in both EFT Arena and Escape from Tarkov, and vice versa. And I'm also under the assumption that the stash is going to be like ruble value is going to be shared. I mean that's I don't know. Like, it's just interesting that the kits themselves have rubles associated with them, And like the fact that Regi's kit is so like scav tier, low tiered, and it's free is like, kind of makes sense to me. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. It is certainly interesting. Yeah, because that piece is on. If you scroll down, it's under the. It's just it's 2 games, 1 character. It's actually on that front page.
Right.
That these 2 characters are growing together. I mean, somebody, I think, how was it Hayz who was posting up on up on Twitter about it, just talking about how presumably this means that when the game wipes, it wipes everything, including arena.
Presumably,
because it's the same character, right? If it's 2 games, 1 character, then when your character wipes in the main game, then it's going to wipe in arena too. And unless there's some, they've said in the feature there's going to be 2 characters, 1 non-wipe, not 1 that will wipe. So how that interacts with arena, I'm not really sure. I'm still not sure whether that's good or not. I guess if there's crossover between the 2 games, I suppose you can't really have arena not wiping. Otherwise, it doesn't really make sense.
Shout out to Nail in chat. He said, at least you won't have to stand on barbed wire so often. You can just spam arena and die loads.
Vitality 3, easy, baby.
Which, I mean, like, to your point, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I'm leaning more towards it's a good thing simply because I just don't see. Sorry, I got the Tarkov notification. I forgot Tarkov's still running. I just don't see arena. Like if arena didn't have any like progression, it was just like rank up, esports, CS:GO, just grind the rank thing. I mean, I guess it is some form of progression, but I just don't think. Me personally, I don't really find that appealing. Like, as Tarkov currently stands in the state, I just think PvP is kind of like it's not that great. The fun part of PvP is the looting and progression stuff. The fear of losing your kit, getting their kit, getting the loot. That stuff is like the more fun stuff. So the fact that there's like some tie-in to progression to like the main game, so to speak, I personally kind of like that more. But
yeah, I get that. That's fine. I'm just trying to think from the perspective of somebody who comes from somewhere else and they're playing arena and they're just like, dude, you're telling me like the account's just going to wipe. Like it's you're playing. I can't even think of an equivalent, but like you play CS:GO and all your skins wipe every 6 months. I don't know. Like it's not the same thing, but like that's a really bad analogy. But you know what I mean? It's just like why? Like because these people are playing this other survival game over there, and like the progression's broken unless you do a wipe. Like why do I need to have my account wiped? Like if I don't own EFT base game, like that's going to be quite annoying. Like I just get these random arbitrary wipes where everything just gets deleted. Like why?
Well, they a lot of these like esports games have like some type of seasonal ranking nowadays, anyways. So it's kind of a similar
that's more
concept.
for the ranking itself, I suppose. Yeah, maybe maybe it'll be okay. I have like some reservations about whether it's sensible, but I think for us who actually play like the base EFT, I think it's fine. I think it'll be okay. But I'm just wondering about for everyone else. But yeah, maybe it'll be okay. Maybe it'll be okay. Maybe I'm just mithering. Maybe I'm just mithering about it.
Well, I mean, I genuinely don't think that it's gonna appeal. I mean, I'm happy to be wrong, but I just don't think it's gonna appeal to like the esports crowd, unless they like just like And when I guess I'd be more specific, like the traditional FPS competitive, players. Like think about CS:GO, Valorant. I'll begrudgingly include Apex Legends. But that game's got like a pretty high skill ceiling nowadays of all the exploits. Anyways, I just don't think it's gonna appeal to that.
Mean?
They're features, okay? They're features, which is funny because in one of their recent trailers, this is a total tangent, but I'm including it. They included they were showing off a new or a redesign of an old legend, like an old hero or whatever, and they included in their footage someone doing a mechanical exploit, something called like tap strafing, and like everyone was going crazy, like, oh my god, they've officially like embraced the thing. It was like this weird mechanical exploit where you like change your direction midair. It's just some weird thing, but yeah. Anyways,
yeah, it's interesting. The only thing that I would say about it is that BSG are, I don't know, they do like, well, Tarkov is genre defining. It's genre defining to the point at which like no one can really make another game that has got similar appeal in this genre.
For sure,
it's not like.
Totally agree.
I'm just sort of getting to the stage where like extraction shooters they're not really a genre. It's just Tarkov and some other people who've tried.
Yeah,
It's it.
Yeah.
There's like, it's not really a genre. Like, it isn't. It's just Tarkov the game.
I feel the same.
So what about Arena then? It's got like sort of. I mean, I use milsim in the broadest sense, but like it's got milsim type movement and mechanics.
Yeah.
But in an esports setting, has anyone done this before? Maybe people will like it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's possible, I guess, when you look at it like that.
Like, no one's ever done this, right? Like all the other ones, not as far as I'm aware. Anyway, I'm sure there probably are some small ones, but I don't think there's any big games that have done this. Like, you know, PUBG never made an arcade shooter version, or just like any of those.
Well, I mean, you say
like Squad or whatever. Like nobody ever made an arena, like like whatever you call it, arena shooter style mode. Because you could argue in some ways that because of like the clumsy mechanics in the game, it does actually make the skill ceiling quite high in some respects, right? Because like you watch, I think this is probably more true before Inertia, honestly, but because I've argued that in the past. But you look at somebody like Desmond or whatever, like even stupid things that mechanically, like I run up to the wall, I have to stop and slow down and get my position perfect, and then lean peek so that I just peek out around the corner. That's actually quite hard to do, irrespective of the shooting or anything else. Like sitting with two corners like this, with 3 pixels in between, and going on Valorant is not necessarily that hard. The hard part is the aim. Whereas like actually moving around the map on top, like maybe people won't find it entertaining. I don't know, but like it's hard. It's not necessarily that easy. And I don't know what their plan is around like tournaments and esports or whatever. But if BSG are making tons of money, which a lot of people presume they probably are, and they put some of that money behind the tournaments, people will come and play the game. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's true. If they do really get, and this is why, like, I think it's more of a strategical monetary opportunity for them, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know how well the esports industry is doing as of late. I've heard I've heard some rumblings that it's not doing so hot, but
not very well as far as I'm aware.
Yeah. But anyways, the point, I think you bring up a good point. I just I just don't know, man. I just don't think it will have. It might have some flash in the pan, but like, it's like, this is the thing. Like with Valorant, right? Valorant was like, okay, we're gonna put like Dota 2 inside of CS:GO, basically. And like some people really like that, some people don't. Some people just like the classic CS:GO, which is just like economical, attackers defend type of gameplay. Arena is just like Tarkov mechanics, but without the looting, but presumably without the looting stuff. So like, you're not even like extracting, you're just like deathmatching. Like, in other words, I feel like you would have to love the Tarkov mechanics to like really enjoy Arena. And I just suspect that like the people coming into the game from like these like, high standards of like esports competitive games, like, I just don't think they're gonna be like, oh wait, I can't counter strafe. Oh, that's why is my inputs not working? Is my keyboard broken? Like, I don't know.
I just go in a circle.
Yeah, it's just I mean, yeah, and of course you can learn those things and like, get to, maybe they'll like it. I don't know. Maybe the recoil change will make it more. I suspect the recoil is just gonna feel like I don't know. It's so hard to say because I know they're reworking certain things, but I don't know if they're gonna rework like inertia. I mean, I don't know. Like, it's also more interesting. Like, some people, a lot of the like esports people are like the old, bring back inertia, kill the game, bro. So like, are they gonna like take out inertia in Arena? Like, I think not. So. It's just kind of, I don't know. I'm gonna play it, and I mean, obviously, because I got it for quote unquote for free, but I just don't really see it. It'll be fun to like do, like, let's say I just want to like play Factory, right? I don't want to like sit in queue for 3 minutes and then potentially die off the rip and have to kit up again, blah blah blah. With this, I'm assuming there's respawns. Like, God, please tell me there's respawns. At least a mode with a respawn system. And you can just kind of just like shoot it up in Tarkov for a bit and then get some progression on my main account as well. Would be kind of nice.
Yeah, or if it's like, as you see the various kits, it's like 35k, 50k, whatever, and you enter in a 50k and under arena thing, and you press the button, and like 20 seconds, bam, you're in, and you just play. And then bosh, okay, you're out. Okay, you win, lose, whatever. You win. Maybe you win someone else's kit. You win 50k, or you win a second kit. I don't know. Maybe you have like maybe maybe the presets are just the presets, and it's like, okay, you have 2 of these presets now because you killed this guy and like took his dog tag or something. Who knows? And then you could just like load back in. You just go, right, 50,000 rubles, bam, play that. We're in straight away. Cycle around again. That's the thing. You have to be playing the game like 90% plus of the time, I think, if you want to be. I think that's the important part about Arena, because that's the thing that Tarkov really suffers from. And like, yeah, other games, you're playing the actual game most of the time, and that's what people what are going to want to do in Arena. Like, yeah, you might want to fuss about kits and stuff.
No, the solar panels. I'm assuming it's not me. Let's see. Hello?
Hello.
What happened?
Nothing.
Oh, I guess it was my end.
Stream is fine on Twitch. Everyone's saying it's all okay.
Did I go robot-y for you?
Nope. You were completely fine.
Oh, that's weird. I don't know. All right. Well,
maybe your download failed.
Perhaps.
For a second or something, but your upload was fine. That's weird.
Perhaps. Okay.
You were here the whole time. There was no DCs or anything.
All right. So what were you saying?
I was saying you just basically need to be able to be if you want to be, need to be in the game like 95% of the time that you've got the game open. I think that's critical for Arena. You can fuss about with your kits and stuff if you want to make your own loadouts or whatever. Then like fair enough. But if you want to just be playing with loadout presets that are 50 grand and you've got enough cash, you should just be able to hammer the games out, bam, 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 and be in the game like 95% of the time. I think that's very, very important, because that's where people are going to escape from loading, right? Which is the main game.
Escape from Tarkov?
Yeah. So you got to escape from loading screen and escape from Hideout, Tetris. And that's what Arena hopefully will bring.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's quite interesting, though, because also you said, like, there's not really any progression necessarily. Like, there's going to be money and stuff, so that's going to be fine. But this game is going to have skill-based matchmaking. So I think the ranking is kind of compelling in and of itself, Like in Tarkov, what do we have to keep score? Just level, money, PMC kills, Kappa, like quest progression. Those are kind of like the main things of the main game. But we don't have skill-based matchmaking. We don't have a ranking of any kind. So this brings a whole new element. And I think rankings do suck people in. People want to show that they're better at stuff than other people. I think that will actually keep people involved, because, it's like, you can't really compare one person to another. Like if you look at one person with more money, well, it doesn't necessarily, like a lot of the best players in the game are broke all the time because they just only farm just as much as they need to be able to buy like meta kits and just want to play. So it's hard to compare. Whereas this is going to be the definitive, like, I'm better than this person, or this is how I stack up globally in EFT in the arena mode. This is how good I am at the PvP section of the game. So I think that is maybe compelling enough for some people, at least. There'll be a group of people who will be.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. I'm just like going through because you said that. So that's the one character thing. We did that already. Presets, rating and role presets for equipment. Apparently, you could choose like assault, CQB, scout, or sniper. It's like, I don't even know if that's just examples. Rank, as we said, and then you can get this unique Rigi gear set, which is pretty weird. It's almost like, but buy the game now and you get some epic loot thing in like most other games. Whereas this one, it's just like you get to play as like the scav man from the raid with the double barrel shotgun. I find it quite funny. It's a bit odd. But I think it's looking interesting. I just hope that some of these things we talked about come to pass. I mean, the people are now more thinking about the game's crossover, like what is going to cross over and what isn't. We now know it's going to be one character, so that has a interesting ramification for like skills. As we just we mentioned before about vitality or whatever. Maybe you could just play arena for a bit and die a bunch. But it's going to be interesting to see, because it's almost a little bit like Call of Duty in some respects, right? Where you got like Warzone and the main multiplayer and DMZ grinding for skins. But we're sort of doing the same thing, but with skills. So, you forgo any quests in the base game, but you can gain more skills more quickly in Arena. sort of a interesting one to think about. I don't know whether people will have it'll be like super outweighted. So because you're just like running around all the time and the rounds are so short, I wonder if there's diminishing returns. Like if they just take all the systems and just put them in arena, you're going to get endurance and strength so fast because you're going to sprint in and then die, and then sprint in and then die, and sprint in and then
Yeah,
kill
that's
someone, and
why
then rounds over, and then sprint in. So people are going to
I
get like
thought
level
about that.
51 in like 2 weeks. And recoil controls where you're firing your gun so much more,
I
vitality, health, all of these things. They rely on like combat at least.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not that bothered by it. Just
I
that,
think it's fine. It's just different.
well, I mean, it's a design choice. I'll say that much. I don't. This, if you're okay, so I'm just gonna read Trey's tweet here. Okay, he says unpopular opinion, which I disagree. But having physical skills in arena mode is terrible. Cry emoji. Imagine you had better recoil control and fast movement speed, hardwired into your CS:GO character because you have more hours than an opponent. Doesn't fit a comp game IMO. And this is the thing: is like I just don't think BSG going to do a well-designed, competitive, esport-ready game. They're taking Tarkov. They saw that evasion turn. There's like interest in like hyper-competitive scene, right? So they're like, let's just make, an arena, and because I mean, maybe they had that idea prior, but whatever. It's like you can see the crossover overlap there, right? So then they make it, and it's like we're just gonna copy paste the game into this and then make some new maps and boom, there you go. There's your arena. And I just don't think that, if you're like a hardened esport player, this is like really gonna appeal to you. Maybe the already existing Tarkov heads that are, hyper competitive, it will be their copium. But it's just kind of like I don't know, something to do that also gets you progress. It's kind of like a bonus for the way I see it. Like it's something else to play in relationship to Tarkov. I just wouldn't take it like, oh my god, I'm gonna go pro and get signed by Hayz Clan and the $1 million contracts. I don't think it's there are if you're like dying to play competitively, and you're like, church, I see Tarkov is coming out with an esports game. Should I, do it, blah blah blah. No, go play some other game. You
Should I quit
be
college and play
respected,
Tarkov Arena?
huh?
Should I quit college and go play Tarkov Arena?
No, go any other like well established game. Go for that instead. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I think that really depends heavily upon how much BSG want this to become a thing. As I said before, if they throw a bunch of money at it, like people will come.
Yeah,
definitely,
for sure.
And depending on how kind of spectatory it ends up being, like that's actually very hard to tell. Like some esports are just they just are not good to watch. Some are really good to watch, and it's very difficult to get that until it's out. Like I don't think any developer can really build that in. It's just I don't know. It ends up being a funny product of just like the way people play the game itself, the maps, stuff like that. And I was talking to my sister because she does like loads of tournament organization for like university esports here. It's like actually what she does as a job, and we were talking about like Rainbow Six and about how that's like sometimes quite tricky because it's all inside and stuff. Like if you're following one player's perspective, that's fair enough. But to actually like follow everything that's going on is actually just quite hard. Like the way the game's structured is just quite difficult to follow. Whereas something like Dota 2, even though there's like a ton of players, like there's no terrain really, right? The map is for all intents and purposes flat with obstacles, so you can always see all the characters and stuff. It's like a bit easier. So I don't know. We'll see. Like maybe hopefully they've designed the maps in a way that there's easy to see everybody or whatever. I don't know if you have to. It doesn't look like there's many like big buildings or anything. Most of them are kind of open arenas of various kinds. So I don't know. And then again, it depends on how much money they want to throw at it. If they want it to become serious, they have to be offering up prize money. Like prize money from the developers is always a surefire way to get people involved. Yeah. And once people are involved, then it's sticky because people don't want to move games and stuff. So like if they really push hard now, if they don't do enough now, then they risk it never becoming a thing. If they do a ton now, they might get enough people that it has a self-sustaining community of people who want to play, and obviously keep supporting it or whatever. But yeah, we'll see. We will see. We shall see. Yeah, Fail in chat was talking about how it could actually be quite nice for a lot of players, because I was just looking through a few of the maps where they're saying, the arena maps are going to be small. They'll probably all run like factory and labs, which is actually a huge positive. Like, people complain so much about the Tarkov performance because on certain maps it is really awful.
Mhm.
We've kind of come out of the bad territory for most of the maps these days, and now it's mainly streets and still a bit of lighthouse that are problematic. But if most players can run arena at 100 plus FPS, and like they've redesigned, like the beauty of arena, we've talked about this before. The beauty of arena is they basically like had the opportunity to make Tarkov 2. Like, it's not Tarkov 2, but it sort of is Tarkov 2 in a development sense, because think about how long Tarkov's been running for. People talk about spaghetti code, but like that's an inevitability. If you take any project and you run it over like multiple years, this is what you end up with always in any project, any coding, any program, anything. Whereas the arena guys have been able to take all the stuff that they've learned from main branch skip from Tarkov, hopefully, and implement that again from scratch. So it's an amazing opportunity to build something that actually runs really well, utilizing all the latest stuff, and like not have to deal with the spaghetti code. But you start with a fresh base. So I'm hoping that will also make it perform really, really well. And that means that even people who kind of stay clear of Tarkov, because I know some people do, just because I can't scope in without it going to 40 FPS or 30 FPS and all this kind of stuff. Right? Hopefully all of that will go away. It allows more people in to play the game. But yeah, I mean, we've got there's a couple of teasers of the different maps. I think there's like 4 that they've shown us. Like, I think 2 of them are from Contract Wars, supposedly.
Yeah.
I think Sawmill and Bay 5. Bay 5 looks like Shipment on Call of Duty, which is funny.
But
It's just like trailers. And then there's the other 2, the airport one and the Equator Mall that we've seen also previously. But they look fun, they look different, looks interesting. I'm actually quite excited about Arena. I really am. I can see myself playing quite a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely check it out. I just, I hope by the time it comes out that they have some of their like gameplay mechanics smoothed out.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that probably the biggest thing that worries me is like, when's the recall change coming?
Yeah.
When are we testing that? And when's Arena coming out? Because like those 2 things need to be synchronized between the 2 games for sure, and it also needs to be good in both. Otherwise, it's just that will be really, really damaging.
Yeah, because I just don't want to use, kits that have bad guns like the MPX. God, I would rather, turn the gun around and use it that way. It's just like, yeah.
So I think is there anything else about Arena? I think that's kind of everything.
No,
the price.
Mm.
We didn't talk about the price. EOD gets it, as we've always said, for free.
Mm-hmm.
They said that, and I think, is that still the case? I think that's still the case, right? If you buy EOD now, I still think you get Arena for free. I think.
I mean, did they increase the price? Is that like
they did? So there was a weird thing going on. I thought it was just because there was a sale and it was weirdly worded, saying the game price is going to increase on X date. But it turns out they just did a sale like near to it. Actually, I think it was a Nice Guy video that confirmed this, because again, I wasn't following it too closely because it didn't really matter, and I just assumed that's what it was. But they did actually change the price of the game, so it's now $5 to $10. I think the cutoff's already gone, so it's like $5 to $10 more for every edition now than it was. And I'm presumably that's because of the Arena price is being included into EOD, but then you don't get it with the other versions. So I'm not sure. They just made the price go up. I guess it's been the same for a long time, like for years and years and years. You could argue that inflation, whatever, like the game price.
Yeah, and I mean,
it's still one of the most expensive games ever.
Yeah, well, I mean, at least you're getting additional promise, and I'm fairly confident they'll deliver on Arena, but
Yeah. So then Arena for me, because we were just talking about this before, because I wasn't actually sure. If I try to pre-order it here in Europe, now I know the European region is a bit funny. So you can, if you buy Tarkov in any region, you're locked to that region, except for Europe. I don't really know why that is, but if you buy Tarkov in Europe, you can launch it in any other region. Which is a bit strange.
It's very weird because like I can upgrade my region to European, but right now I'm listed as other, which I think is like North America, and there's another region for like South or like East Asia or something. I don't know.
Probably, yeah.
But
so Arena for me, and I don't know, it's quite funny because it goes like, oh, UK, but then it lists the price in euros. It says Arena will cost me, if I just went in, because this was before I logged in, 37 euros. Which is quite surprising to me. I know they said it was going to be cheaper than the base game, but like that's only just cheaper. I don't even know what is the euro dollar rate these days.
Giga, they got to fund the development of the game.
108.
Come on, man.
Yeah, because so that's yeah, so that's 40. Okay, it's wait, is that right? Yeah, it's $40 equivalent. $40. What did you say it was? Was it $40?
Yeah, I'm pretty
on
sure.
The US side?
I could log out maybe.
Yeah, because what's actually Escape from Tarkov base game price these days? I can't even remember.
Oh no, it's $35.
$35.
But I'm if that's
but you've got the 5 upgrade, the $5
if you want to do
right?
the upgrade, right?
Region upgrade for whatever reason. You don't need to
Purchases
do that.
made in this region, aka other, work only in countries outside of EU and CIS countries. All goes to this region. All goes to this region, and this version of the game can be launched anywhere in the world except in Europe regions. May also appear as USA, which I just kind of I don't know why it's like this. Because CIS region purchases made in this region will only work in CIS countries.
Oh,
okay. EU region purchases made in this region will allow you to launch the game anywhere in the world. You can also upgrade this to. You can also upgrade this. You can also upgrade to this region anytime by going back to the pre-order page. Make sure you're logged in. There you go. Upgrade button or your package if you want to upgrade. So I don't know. Just why I don't know. It's weird.
I think it's to stop people doing like jurisdictional arbitrage or whatever. Like you use a VPN and you buy it through Thailand.
Yee-hoo! This old little rootin' tootin' cowboy was here to remind you to hit that like and subscribe button if you're here over on YouTube. And as for you other Yellow Bellies listening onto the audio cast, be sure to share it with a friend. Back to the show.
All right, so we determined
Where were we?
That
we were talking about money things.
Yes, you pay 30. Wait, how much do you pay?
37 euros, which is $40.
Right.
For Arena. The base game of Escape from Tarkov is 52 euros. So
what is it for?
$56. EOD is 155 euros now after the price increase, which is 168 $168, which I mean that's a lot of money.
This is really weird pricing. Okay, so for me, it's 50 for standard, and EOD is 150. USD.
150. Okay, it's interesting that it's cheaper. But I mean, we were talking about like the exchange rate stuff. I think like the reason why they do this like regional thing is to stop people from doing this like arbitrage, as I was saying, where you buy it in a different country, but like you can't really do it because you're not allowed to use a VPN on Tarkov, at least if they know that you're using a VPN when you log in.
In other words, they're trying to, like buy it, like say, hey, I'm from Brazil. Can you give me Brazilian pricing? In other words.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then use it in like, France or something. But very interestingly, I'd not noticed this before. And I know that Sad just put this in my chat actually, and I didn't see this until just looking at this page now. EOD has a countdown timer on it.
Yeah.
Which I had not seen until literally just now. And it's got, well, what is it? 30 seconds, 53 minutes, 7 hours, and then 127 days?
Mm-hmm.
That's weird.
I think they did that when they changed the prices because they've said sometime that like EOD is going to be, going away at some point.
Sure. But what does that equate to?
You don't get EOD anymore. What do you mean? Oh, when does it end?
But like it's a weird, that's a weird thing to put up, right?
People are saying in December 30th, end of this year.
It is the 30th of December 2023 is 127 days from now. Countdown to the wipe. Doesn't that land in December? It does indeed. 30th of December is also a contender for the next wipe confirmed. Dude, are we there already? It's 2 weeks into this wipe. Are we already on?
Could
Are we
be.
already on? Like, when's the next wipe? Maybe we can wait until week 3.
Yeah,
of the
week
wipe
3 at
before we
least,
start.
Giga. Come on, have some class.
Yeah, I mean, like 2022, it was the 28th of December, the 12th before that because it was kind of the meme, and the 24th before that. So, who knows? Could be. Certainly could be. Fascinating. Okay, well, I didn't realize that they'd actually put a proper end time on this. But yeah, I mean, if you still get, I wonder if it says, like, if you buy EOD now, I'm very intrigued. If you buy your EOD now, do you get Arena? I just don't know. It says free access to all subsequent DLCs.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean DLCs that, I mean, does Arena count? Is that DLC?
I don't know, dude. You're asking. I don't know, dude. I mean, I would assume yes because you get it with the game currently. I don't know.
Yeah, I would think so.
I just can't get over that Left Behind edition's $82. It's like such a weird. Why not just make it $80? Like, why is it just so weird?
Yeah, it's probably because it's I don't know. They've probably got it priced like locally or something, and then they've done the conversion, something like that. But I mean, it doesn't really make sense in euros either. Maybe it makes more sense in rubles. I'm not sure.
Anyways,
that's probably the reason. Either which way. So if you do get it, then yeah, that makes like, if you get Arena with EOD, that makes Arena like or EOD 118 euros and then Arena 37 euros. Kind of makes it a little bit more palatable. But anyway, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see how many people actually end up buying Arena. Yeah, that was the only other thing about the pricing.
Yeah. All right, so that's Arena. Look forward to that when it comes out in 2026. Well, maybe, you never know. All right, so anyways, next up on the agenda, cheating in Escape from Tarkov. No freaking way, dude. Did you know there's cheaters in Tarkov?
That's news to me.
It is a real pandemic, let me tell you, dude. So I will start this off by reading a tweet from Trey. Loving the QLO changes this way, but this is the worst I have ever played for cheaters so far. I'm hoping the EOD sale ends in a big ban wave. They aren't even Hideout right now, man. And yeah, it's the worst it's ever been, Giga. This right here.
The worst it's ever been. Oh dear. The problem with this topic is the usual issue, which is that it affects some people much more than others.
Yeah.
It's also dependent upon how you perceive the cheating situation and how likely you are to call cheats on situations that are not cut and dried.
Mm-hmm.
All of these things contribute to a miasma of information overload and bad inputs and people making bad judgments, as well as legitimate cheating happening against certain people in particular, as well as this like bugged report, which may or may not be bugged. It is definitely bugged for some people, but is it bugged for everyone? Nobody knows. BSG said nothing about it. So together, it's just like, who the frick knows what's going on? Like, it's just the usual craziness. I don't even know where we want to start with this, to be honest, because there's been drama and people complaining and all sorts, right? It's like, I think just like broadly speaking, if you're a Chad player and you go to the hotspots, you have high KD, and you're wearing like good kits, you will encounter cheaters more often than those players who don't go to the hotspots, tend to be lower level and have lower equipment on, and also depending on the maps you go to. Like, who's playing labs right now? It's the Chad people who got there super fast, and the cheaters. That's it. The only people. So that's why you see so much. I can well believe it that on labs it's terrible.
Yeah,
I'm sure, because those are the only guys who like are able to really get to buy labs cards on the regular, along with the Giga Chads. So that kind of makes sense. But if you're a player like me, then you probably don't see cheaters all that often. Like, I have got very few cheating situations to draw upon. I have like one situation that actually is well, it's better explained by like stream sniping, which never happens to me, by the way. not to my knowledge anyway. But it's actually better explained by like stream sniping than it is necessarily by somebody cheating. I felt like I was getting aggressively and unusually hunted through Shoreline. Like there was at one point people were just like, the guy must be on the roof of the resort. Like, there is no other place in the map that he could have all those angles on you. And they weren't even that good a shot, right? I was just getting shot like continuously across the map. And eventually I ducked down behind the resort, was still getting like peppered from somewhere, and ended up running all the way north, and they finally like went away. Like there was one other one where a guy like pre-fired me in a sort of a weird way, but like again, you never know what sounds your character makes. Sometimes your character can make a sound, or maybe they just guessed where you were, and then you made a sound, and then they pre-fired you, whatever. Like it's just so hard to know. So I don't really have any cut and dry cheating situations this wipe. Like I've hardly reported anybody, but that doesn't mean that it's not an issue. It definitely is for some people. It definitely is in different regions. Because I know, like, I'll just reference Hayz now because I know Hayz has been involved in a little bit of drama about this topic, which I'm sure you'll go into in a second. But I find it interesting that I have the same experience as Hayz. We're both in the same region. We both play similarly. We both play at the same time, which is like mid-afternoon UK, and neither of us run into cheaters really ever. Either of us. I have exactly the same experience as Hayz. Like, can count on one hand the number of cheaters that I think. And we also both play solo too. Because I've also said before, if you play in a squad, 3 of you get insta headshot with 855.
Right.
It's a bit more obvious. You just get headshot with 855 as a solo player. You're like, you didn't see them. Who knows? Whereas like in a squad, you get more info because you get the other guy's perspectives. So this all just like culminates to me with just not really knowing. And I think Hayz has said things to the same effect, which is it feels the same as every wipe, which is it doesn't really bother me. Everyone says it's the worst it's ever been, but I still don't see anybody that I knowingly know cheats. I don't know. I don't know. Like, that's the thing. My personal experience, I wouldn't be able to tell, other than seeing people on Twitter talking about it and seeing the clips from like Tigs in labs. Because I've literally not set foot in labs this wipe. So how am I supposed to know how bad labs is without seeing the clips? It's like, it's crazy. So that's my position on it. But I know it's a problem for some people. It depends on the region. I think Central EU is pretty benign, relatively. I know it can get bad in certain areas, but I think relative to some other regions, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of truth to. I mean, obviously, your experience varies from person to person. Like, if you're actively looking for PvP constantly, right? Like, you want to wipe the lobby, you're much more likely to engage someone that's cheating, right? Just by the nature of you're actively seeking combat. Whereas, like, someone could still be in your lobby and cheating, but they may not have any interest in you if you don't have any interest in them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Not saying that it's okay that they're cheating. I'm just trying to like lay the groundwork of how experiences can vary.
Especially if somebody's like ESP and they're just doing it because they're like, oh, I'm bad at the game, whatever, and they're like trying to do their quests and stuff. Because it seems to be like a lot of those low life type people around who are just like bad and just use it to. I mean, it's just like why, bro? But anyway, like people do that, and if you just leave them alone, then they won't like necessarily go and rage hack you or anything. So yeah, I agree.
I could see your well off person who wants to game a little bit in their spare time, but they have plenty of expendable money, and they don't want to game. They don't have time to play that much because they still gotta build up their wealth and play their or do their business or whatever. So they buy cheats to sort of like help them catch up or not have to grind as much as I could see something like that happening. But I don't know, the cheating conversation always irritates me to talk about because it's just like so mind-numbing, dude. It's like, yes, cheaters exist, like, yes, people's experiences vary. Like, I don't think I've had like one obvious. There was that one weird instance on Factory where I loaded in and loaded to my death screen. Like, I didn't even hear anything. I think that was probably more server related thing. But like, I don't know, bro. I just really don't feel like it's here's my experience. It's really not any different than it's for me, So I just this topic really just kind of just bores my mind. And there's so much like, okay, so like one thing Like, it don't mean to, like, someone said, I'm not trying to call you out, but someone said they banned over 6,000 cheaters, so that's at least 30k USD. That's just not true. Like, it's just not true. Okay, I'll give you this. If 6,000 of the bans were actually buying full price accounts, then BSG earned that money because they're fucking idiots. Like, if you're dumb enough to buy take your real account and then go buy cheats on it, like, eventually you're gonna get banned and you're gonna lose out on that money. You have to buy another account and you're gonna do that again. Like, in my opinion, BSG earns that money every time because you could circumvent if you're smart, you don't buy the game directly from BSG. You do chargebacks. You do phishing accounts to try to steal someone's account. Like, it's just like there's no one in their right mind should be doing this. This is why, like, free games have such a massive cheating issues, because there is no cost to getting banned. They just can keep playing the game over and over again, right? So yeah, it's just, I don't know. That also, like, just trying to clear the air there is like, it's just not the case.
Yeah, it's tricky. The main people that I've heard, and it's almost actually unfortunate in some ways. I don't know, like, anybody who's in the OC region, it's tough.
Mm-hmm.
But it's almost unfortunate that, like, the poster child for the game is in Oz, because Presale has had a lot of fussy stuff going on, especially on Shoreline. And I know that he was the one who showcased the report that first came out, and that's why people started thinking maybe this report's bugged. So, like, it's not his fault. The game told him that he had like plus 64 other cheaters banned on his thing. But he's run into a bunch of people, as far as I understand, on his stream over in Australia, because he's playing on OCE. And, like, we're talking in chat right now. Tones, who's also, encountering people, VoIP calling out his name and stuff, like, being really blatant. And again, it's OCE. So I really feel for anybody who plays in that region, because it seems like night and day difference between that and EU, and US seems somewhere in the middle, as far as I understand. Just anecdotally, it's just like, it's so hard to know, right? This is the thing. I think with VoIP name calling, at least they're cheating. At least
Yeah.
That's always the best thing about it. Is, like, if you just know for sure. I think that's the worst part, just like not knowing half the time. Like, that's why I called when we were looking at this last time.
Mm-hmm.
The ESP just, like, is so insidious because you just can't tell. Like, if you just get instant headshot with someone through a door, you're just like, whatever, right, and can move on. But with the ESP stuff, it just makes you, like, doubt your gameplay because you think it was legit, or it makes you doubt everyone who was legit because you doubt everyone, and it's so hard to know. It's just crazy. It's just weird.
Yeah, I mean, that's why, like, I really just don't put a lot of, like, mental energy into that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, if I just get M61 from Jupiter, it's frustrating, but, like, I don't really put a lot of thought into whether they're cheating or not. You know what I mean? It's just like, why obsess over that and just, like, bring about those negative emotions? Because no one likes get cheating on. Okay, not even cheaters like get cheating on. So it's just like, it is such a, polarized. I don't know if, like, polarized is the right word, but it's such a, like, emotionally attached phenomenon, I guess. Yeah. So I try not to give it any credence, really. One interesting thing about the Presale report that I noticed, where he did the system screenshot, the system message. So it lists 10, right? And then it says, and other 26 reports help identify the cheaters. These players have been banned. And someone else's, oh god, who was it? I don't know, but someone else's, maybe it was Tiggs, actually. I'd have to go look, but he also had a similar message. I'm gonna have to go look, but it didn't go all the way down to 10. And then it also said, and other, like, 10 reports help identify cheaters, which is weird. And so if I'm reading this, and I'm gonna go pull up Tiggs in a second, but if I'm reading this, I can't help but wonder if 1 through 10 are Presales, and the other 26 reports help identify cheaters were, like, some other people's, like, those 10 are part of that 26 from other people's reports. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know, because it's just kind of weird. Like if I go try to see if I can find Tiggs. I think it was Tiggs. It might have been a reply too, which makes it even harder to find. Because like his didn't scroll all the way down to like 10 and then had the text of other reports. Because I assume that's why you would do that, is you didn't have this long message that couldn't fit, right? So you said, and here's the other reports as well. I'm probably not gonna be able to find it, bro.
Yeah, well, while you're looking, I mean, we're chatting to Sad again in the chat, who's kind of like, he's like my go-to Chad guy from my Discord, and he says he got feedback because he's been running into a lot of cheaters actually, and he plays EU, so that's kind of interesting. He says, but he's like, he plays like full bore Chad gameplay.
Right.
He says got feedback reports with 174 reports on the message, and I said like, did you report 174 people? And he said, no. He said, I've got people banned on Streets. I didn't even play Streets for 3 months. And Paul came after the wipe with the date pre-wipe.
I just don't think it just looks. I think there's some poor communication the way BSG message it, and I just like don't.
Yeah, well, it's just wrong or something. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
All right,
but there was some drama right around the
drama. We gotta get the show rolling, dude. We're just got so many topics. Drama alerts. All right. So yeah, Hayz made a tweet, and he was sort of just like poking, making a joke about the new Twitter ad revenue. I'll read the tweets. With everyone and their pet hamster dying to cheaters in Tarkov, seemingly every raid, I kind of feel left out. Where's my cheaters and 160 plus confirmed bans to screenshot and farm Twitter engagement? Man's trying to get that Twitter ad revenue. Come on. And I think it's kind of funny because as soon as I see the tweeting of like cheaters, I just like roll my eyes too, because it's just so, for me it's just really like brain numbing. So I thought it was pretty funny. But then Goat chimes in and he says, your income depends on streaming Tarkov. Mine doesn't. As someone who's played since alpha without any financial bias, this is the worst it's ever been after a wipe in recent history. If you don't know this, you are either intentionally being obtuse or you don't know what the fuck is going on. Now, some of you may know we've had Goat on the podcast before, and this really struck me as very odd and peculiar. Mainly how aggressive and almost like he's persecuting Hayz in the sense, or he's fighting some holy war or something, man. Like I don't know, it was really, I was gonna actually reply to him, and I told Giga, I was like I was like looking up articles and stuff. I was gonna do this whole thing, maybe a twit logger. I was just like, bro, I realized like I just need to not do this with my time. I got work to do. So yeah, but
yeah, it's kind of crazy. Did I reply to this one? Yeah, so I actually did reply to that thread. I replied to Goat with basically what I said to you, which was, I said, look, it really depends. I've maybe had 1 or 2 sus encounters. Second one was explainable, but early why I pretend to avoid the hotspots. I don't play labs, and I made in EU afternoons. I'm also solo. So that was the same. But that's like me and Hayz have exactly. That's why I mentioned him before, because we have exactly the same experience, doing pretty much the same things, playing in a similar way on similar servers at the same time on solo. And it's like, I don't feel like I'm burying my head in the sand. I just don't feel like I meet them. And if I do, then I have no way of telling. That's it. That's it. But it got even. Did you see the next part? It got even more heated. Did you see that?
I think so. Yeah.
Yes. So it appears that Goat messaged Hayz.
Oh, okay. That
privately. Part. Yeah. Was there a bit in between? Have I missed something?
Sure. I will. Should I just continue the conversation? the threads underneath.
Okay.
Because then Hayz responded. He said, I pivoted to and from many games in the past 10 years of streaming. I needed to, but thanks for assuming. Anyway, I reported 1 player to swipe, and they weren't even that sus. It must be the time of day I play or gear run, currently level 23. And then Goat responds back, "What does that even mean? I just had a good belly laugh looking at what your recent stream history. You're a full-time Tarkov streamer. Why can't you just own that? Why are you even pretending your income doesn't directly depend on Tarkov? I feel bad for you. Stop blowing smoke." And then eventually he goes on and some other people chime in. And then eventually Hayz says, "I'll be the person to say I'm a variety streamer. But just so you know, I've streamed 12 different games in 2023 so far. Obviously not much Tarkov. 2022, I streamed nearly 700 hours of New World and hosted my first ever subathon, which I deem a success. Also, please ignore my YouTube is inconsistent mess, quite like myself, actually." And I guess we should mention who Goat is quickly. He is the infamous person who cheated in Tarkov to show how bad cheating was. It's not entirely accurate, but essentially he cheated via ESP, wiggled at players wiggle back. If you haven't seen the video, it's got 3 million views. It's circled around quite a bit.
If you haven't seen the video, how?
Yeah. If you search any time in like YouTube history of Tarkov, it's guaranteed to get recommended to you for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Now.
Okay. So yeah. I guess something else happened after this, right?
Yes.
So there was some. I mean, it looks like the full history, to be honest. There was some DMing that subsequently got on between Hayz and Goat, it seems. And so Hayz posts the next tweet up saying, "I hope these answers help with the research for your upcoming State of Tarkov video." And then he posts a screenshot of the DM that Goat sent to him. And Goat says,
Sorry.
"You are going to be featured in a State of Tarkov video soon. I wanted to give you 48 hours to respond. Is cheating a major problem in Tarkov currently? Have you reported any cheaters this wipe? In your opinion, has it gotten worse since wipe day? If you had to ballpark it, what percentage of your deaths are due to cheaters in the last 3 to 4 play sessions?" And Hayz says, "I find all this really strange, but I want to attempt to restart from the beginning between both of us if you'd like." And he basically just says all the same things as we've said. I'm not going to read it all because it's just, is cheating a major problem in Tarkov? It depends who you ask. Ask the labs mains. Yes, I play on very low matching time servers, blah, blah, blah. I never play in the evenings. I don't really see any, basically is what he says. Have you reported any? I know you watched me on Shoreline get killed by what I thought might have been a cheater, so I reported them. I recorded the last 5 minutes. Turns out he was on the beach next to the bridge and ran up to shoot me in the back. So the only death I can 100% say, today was the only death where I can 100% say he was cheating. He shot me from cottage with 5.56A1 visible red traces. So I've only reported 2 players I've had suspicion of. The first wasn't cheating, that I'm aware of. The second was blatant. So it's basically like the same things as we've all talked. Basically saying, like, and he's the same as me, I can't really say it's gotten worse. There are obviously cheats in the game. I can't say it's the worst it's ever been, because for me, it really hasn't. I played in wipes where it's been much worse than this, but it's all based on my own experience. All that kind of stuff. So to say he's like, whatever you think about posting this up on Twitter, he posted them publicly, all of these, and said, "I hope these answers help you with your research," which is kind of interesting. Obviously, that's sparked off a whole other set of conversations. Go says it's a very disingenuous way to represent our communication, and then they have a bit of a tiff about like Twitter stuff. But yeah, man, it's kind of crazy. Like, I was not aware that Goat was going to make another Tarkov video, but I guess it sort of makes sense. I mean, what was he going to say?
Why does it make sense, Giga?
Because he's the Tarkov wiggle man. So it's easy for him to make a video about that because people expect him to talk about this and have some level of authority because he has a hot take on it already, which has proved extremely popular. So it's probably easier for him to make a video like this than anyone else, I would say.
Yeah, he's established, right?
Yeah.
It's also interesting come wipe time that Goat's appearing up in Tarkov again, right? Now he's doing the Tarkov content. I just really take offense that he accuses Hayz of having financial bias when he says, "If someone's placed into alpha without any financial bias, this is the worst ever been recent." Right? Like, is it not in your best interest also to be like, guys, cheating's everywhere. Look at my video. Like, I just think it's just really shitty what he did, if I'm being honest. Like, I don't really know Goat that well. I wouldn't even say I know him like moderately well, but I've interacted with him. He seems fine. I just can't. I just don't know what's going on in his mind. Like, if I'm gonna access my crystal ball mind reading powers, I feel like he might have like some type of like, righteous, holy justification for this. Maybe that's going on. I don't know. Maybe he's some evil mastermind. Whatever floats your boat there. I don't know. But it just really rubbed me the wrong way. And like Hayz, it's funny because when we had Hayz on, I wanted to ask him, like, hear it from him, like, in a non-accusatory way, like, hey Hayz, I noticed like you're very positive about Tarkov. Like all of your posts, you're usually very like upbeat about Tarkov. What is that for you? Like, why is that? Typically we see a lot of negative stuff. Why are you kind of different? And I assume his answer is just like he just really likes Tarkov, which I think he said before on like his stream and chat. But I wanted to like get a little more personal with him. But I don't know where I was going with that. I just can't really, like, Goats really put a like bad taste in my mouth, and I feel some like guilt and even shame for like defending him when he was getting a lot of flack initially for putting out the video. I'm starting to really question a lot of things now.
I don't know. These things for me are very separate, right? Like, I still think that he did a good job making the video. I mean, you can question his reasons for making it, but he was kind of I still think it was the right place, the right time. He was the perfect person to do it. He put a fire up BSG's ass, which is probably not necessarily a bad thing, to be totally honest with you. But this is new. This is something else. This is different. I do think going after Hayz in particular is like, that's the thing that, I don't know. Some people like, yeah, Hayz is super positive about the game, sure, but
I just think the argument falls flat because basically his argument is like, oh, you're simping for BSG, just so you'll make more money, which I just don't know if that makes a lot of sense, because like if you're, I mean, in some ways it kind of makes sense, right? But if the idea is like, the logic is I have to be positive about this game so people will watch me, and they'll watch me play this game. Like, I mean, like that makes sense, right? I don't really see, some people like the reactionaries, like your Dr. Disrespects, right? They watch him just to see him rage, right? Sure. You may have your preference, but I don't see like some plot, like, Shadow Corporation, Secret Man, like shady dealings. Like, oh yeah, if you're talking about the game and, we'll sell more copies and we'll it's in your favor, behind the doors. Like, you don't need to buy copies of the game to watch Hayz's stream, or like, you know what I mean? It's just, the argument makes no sense to me. Like, the only argument that part of it that makes sense is like how you want to market yourself to people, right? Do you want to be like a really positive, have chill vibes, man, everything's peace and love, happiness, or do you want to be a more reactionary? That's kind of how I see it anyways.
Yeah, I think that totally makes sense. I agree with that, because I think the linking between Hayz's financial standing with Tarkov, I think, has very little to do with, as you say, being positive about BSG. Like, you could make, if you were being like super cynical, the worst things that you can say about it is that someone who's extremely positive is always just trying to like keep in good standing with BSG so that they're featured as part of any Twitch Shops events for tournaments or whatever, right? Like that's probably like the worst thing that you can say. And maybe that does have merit. And you know what? If you're a Tarkov creator and you're not thinking about those things, and it's like your business, like, well then I don't know, like that's your decision to make, right? It's like you potentially risk being cut out of those things, because, like it or not, BSG has known to take like personal grudges against people. They don't act like a regular corporation, honestly. They act like, well, it's Nikita, So if you shit on the game, you're less likely to get opportunities for the game. It's just the truth. So you can't really blame anybody for acting in that way. But that's if you're, taking quite a cynical view and being like, oh well, that's the only reason that they're being positive, as opposed to the other things that you said, like, just your whole stream vibe and blah blah blah. Like, I'm normally pretty positive about the game. I feel like I'm critical of the design choices they make, but you see some big streamers who are extremely critical. A lot of the big streamers, talk about brain dead devs and stuff all the time, right? And they have huge followings, and it's just like, those two things don't necessarily correlate together. Whereas, as you point out, sort of a little bit of hypocrisy here in the fact that Goat is actually correct in saying that his livelihood does not depend on Tarkov. However, if an opportunity comes up in Tarkov to discuss something, talking about how good the cheating situation is probably won't really do anything for him. Whereas like he feels very strongly about the cheating topic, clearly. And that also aligns with a financial incentive to make a video about the state of the game while it's a hot topic. Those two things are interrelated, right? And like one doesn't invalidate the other either. Like he can feel strongly about it, which is why he originally got involved with this. He got involved with the whole cheating thing by actually helping people get unbanned, right? If we remember. So before, I don't know, it's like it's so complicated. There's these things, these two people are people, right? And you can accuse them of this, that, and the other. I do think he's being shitty to Hayz because Hayz is a nice guy and doesn't deserve it. Honestly, that's my take. He doesn't deserve it. Leave Hayz alone. But outside of that, like Goat has a financial incentive to make a video about the terrible cheating state in Tarkov. He also probably feels strongly about the topic and wants to make it. Like those two things both stand separately.
I would imagine that's the case.
And those two things together probably contribute to his incentive to make it. So yeah, fine, but that's okay. Like whatever, he's a content creator at the end of the day, so he doesn't rely on Tarkov. And if an opportunity comes up, then like he'd be silly not to take it based on the previous history that he's done.
Yeah.
I just wish he wasn't quite so aggressive with my boy, but but it's just like that's just it's just crazy. Like people fighting on the internet about this kind of stuff. And I do think Hayz has been extremely respectful. To be fair,
I would argue
for the most part, right?
Too generous.
And he's like gone over and above for answering all these questions and stuff. So fair play. He's tried to ride the high road at least. I know there's a whole like tiff section in the thread. I didn't read it all, but about him muting him and stuff. But if you're getting crap from somebody and you just don't want to deal with it, then I think muting somebody's fair enough. Anyway, it's all of these lovely things all flare up around the whole cheating situation. It's fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic's a word. Trying to think if there's anything else I really want to say on the topic. Yeah, I guess one thing that's just kind of interesting is you remember how he was calling One Peg a simp, a developer simp, and it's just interesting now. Hayz is under attack, right? Which I think aligns much. If you were to like make that argument, right, I think you are much closer in alignment choosing Hayz as your target versus One Peg. In my opinion.
Oh yeah, I mean, One Peg's one of the worst targets, so that's a very low base.
Yeah, which I don't know if that was just like, I assume it was just I don't know, just a mistake on his part, but he got a lot of backlash for that. So I think it's gonna be. I hate to talk about like this, but I think it's gonna be interesting to see how. Yeah, it sounds so shitty to talk about, man. But now that Hayz is the new target, how that will be presented as far as backlash or not, criticism or not.
You know what the biggest problem with the internet and all of this stuff is that people love negativity, and they get drawn into negativity, which is why people like the cheaters thing. Not like it, but they read about it and follow it and watch what people say when they're talking about it, right? People love to read about horrible things that are happening, and people love drama too, which is why this ends up getting so much traction. And I
do like drama.
It's a bit crappy, right? It's a bit it's crappy the way that he's responded, but I don't really. In some ways, there's a part of me that doesn't really blame Goat for the way that he approaches these things too, right? Whips up into a big frenzy, gets some backlash about One Peg choosing the one target, whatever. One Peg makes a video in response, it like whips up into this like big feud, and then they make friends, but. In the meantime, they've like farmed crazy amounts of impressions.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like there's a part of it which is like, from a content business perspective, like I wouldn't want to do it. But
sure, you
probably get more popular by being that way, being aggressive, calling people out, even if you're wrong, actually. And then like I'm not saying necessarily that Goat's doing that, although I think in this situation it's uncalled for. But you do tend to find that there's this big block of creators who make their way and make waves by being a pain in the ass, and that's how they attract. Like they attract both bad and good attention on themselves, but just whip everything up into a frenzy. So Hayz probably just needs to lean into it. Like maybe I should try and get myself. I could be really positive about the game and just like shill it super hard, and then get people to attack me, and then I can just like make a response video and stuff. Like it's just easy, right? I'm like, it's just I don't know. I'm playing it all wrong. I'm like, I'm too in the middle, so I don't get anybody coming over to attack me. I need to get more haters.
Yeah, it's interesting because like cheating is one of the few things that's not it's experiential, right? We don't have any like real data, right? So you end up off your experience, and you know, if you know this about like how we our belief system and things like this, like experience is like a really strong, you know, you can have an experience and like that just shapes your belief. I guess a classic example is like someone their son died in a car accident, and by happenstance they had their seatbelt on. The seatbelt is what prevented, you know, what was part of the reason they died, right? Like if they didn't have their seatbelt on, maybe they would have survived, right? So they take that belief, despite that the facts say otherwise. Like seatbelts say, you know, lives way more, but they're like anti seatbelts, right? But since we don't have like the facts here, we're sort of like have these beliefs based off our experiences. And so if you're over here raising your flag, like, oh my God, cheaters are the worst, they're ruining the game, BSG's involved, shadow corruption, you're like, hey, that's my experience. You're validating my beliefs. I like that. Go Team Red. And then, you know, you're over here in the opposite end. You know, it's like you see this in like politics, man, which is like, it's really bad. Like I hate it so much. Things get weaponized. It's awful. And this is the other funny thing. Probably the last thing I'll say is even Goat's like original 60% number. Like what did he say? It was like in every raid in 60% of the raids you play, there's at least one cheater. Right.
Yeah, that's what he said.
And it's, you know, it's kind of, it's an interesting way to present your findings because it's a little wonky in the wording. But if you try to like break it down, and I can't really do the math, you might be able to help me. But like if, let's say on average, there's like 12 PMCs in the raid, right? You know, obviously maps vary in size. If like half the time there's a cheater in there, so that's like what, 24 players, right? We're not including like player scavs or whatever. So 1 in 24 is cheating. That's like what? 1 divided by 24. 4%? I did that right?
Roughly.
Which is like,
oh yeah.
That's really good in my opinion. That's really good, dude.
Yes.
I don't know.
It was a low estimate, right? It was originally a low estimate as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the stat is shown like if it was, you know, 4% of players are cheating, that doesn't sound anywhere near as good as 60%.
Right.
And YouTube is all about marketing. You don't get a 3 million view video by saying 4% of players are cheating. Dude, like, this is the game. This is the game. Goat's good at the game. I will tell you. Goat's good at the game.
Yeah, no, his video is really good.
Right?
Like,
his video's great, and
the
he's
entertainment value.
This is part of what it takes to become a good creator. If you're making that type of thing, you need to have something to bring people in and a statistic that people can, you know, be drawn in by. And that's part of it. I don't blame him for that. Honestly, I actually don't. It's just the way people are. You can't change people. Don't hate the player, man. Don't hate the player, hate the game.
All right, moving on. We gotta wrap this bad boy up here in a few seconds. Yeah, so I proposed the Giga that we do just as like a one-off. Hey, let's do like because we did like what, top 10 weapons of patch 13.0 last swipe or something. That was fun. So I was like, hey, they got the presets. Let's do like top 5 presets, whatever. And maybe I guess we'll revisit it later in wipe once like progression is increased, because it's kind of hard right now. Like I tried to do my top 5 that were like around level 15, 20-ish, you know. So it's kind of tricky. Like it's I guess we'll get into it. So you want to do like, I'll just do my 5 and then we'll switch to like what you got for yours?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Are you using the new thing? Are you going to be showing?
I'm using the new thing, baby.
Church
the new tech.
Thing. So we were like going to do this new tech thing, and then basically Church proposed this idea, and then like I totally forgot about it. So like Church has been doing this awesome overlay. So anybody who's watching on where's this going to be? This is not on. This isn't on my stream. This is going to be on YouTube later. So anyone's watching there will be able to see like Church's view, but I didn't get it sorted on my side, so I'll just be talking through mine. But yeah, go for it. You start and you show yours, and then we'll see. It's a test. It's a test.
But I have to stall because I forgot my game logged me out because I was AFK for too long. So it's filling in air. Tarkov, SVT, it's OP. Please nerf, or don't nerf. I was telling Giga, Did I mention this at the start of the cast? I don't even remember.
I don't think you did. I
Anyways.
think you said to me before.
I think I did mention it, but yeah, I was gonna do a shoreline raid just quickly because I was waiting for the armor core release, and I just like brought an SVT to shoreline, popped the SJ6 random, planted my SV98 and tool, and then went to pier, fought a guy, killed him. 2 other players showed up, killed them both. I got shot in the head and like somehow survived. Like, well, he I had a class 4, he had an AK of PS ammo, so it wasn't like that. Like I got lucky per se, but I tried to like sprint by the door and jump, but I hit the like canopy above me, so my head went bonk and I went straight down. And I think that's how he shot me. I don't know. Maybe the recoil. It was funny.
You got to remember the classic stat about class 4, right? Which is that even if you get shot with PP and it pens, you still don't die.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. That's crazy. All right, here it is. Wait. Now, boom, the first and only kit. It's 2 SVTs.
2 SVTs.
Yeah, one with the sniper, one with that. No, I'm kidding. It's a meme kit. All right, the first real one. I'm gonna start at the bottom of the stack. Okay, this is what I call SVT rat. Okay, this is the get shit done. All right, you're trying to do some quests. This is the kit for you. Okay, so standard, SVT 40, no special scopes. We're just going, raw SVT. We got a backup. Our pistol is the PB pistol, the suppressed pistol. You say church. Why do that? Well, it's very cheap. Okay, I mean,
It is.
dirt cheap. It's suppressed. So if you got like a little cheeky scav walking by, you don't want to like make a lot of noise, you can pull out the pistol, do like pew pew. Could come in handy. It's for what you're paying. It's really cheap. And if you ever get in a situation where you're completely out of ammo and you're fighting a guy, you could do the quick swap to the pistol, which I have included pistols in these builds. I've been bringing them. I haven't used the quick swap yet. We'll see if when I use it, if it's going to save me my life or not. But it seems super niche. I'm not sure if it's worth. Yeah. So we got the basic M32. The balaclava, you can put whatever you want. I'm just always a balaclava user. For armor, I went with the P.A.C.A. And
Interesting.
for the rig, I went with the CSA. And for the backpack, I have the sling. Now, why those choices? Here's why. Okay, here's the goal of it. Okay, we are trying to go straight in, run to our quest, do what we need to do, and get out. Okay, maybe we loot a scav and we upgrade. But the idea is the P.A.C.A. you insure, the sling you insure. So when it comes back insurance, instead of using those again, which, I mean, you can if you want to, but you're going to use them in the hideout crafts. So they serve some use in the raid, and then when you get back, they come back, you throw them in the crafter, because you're going to need airmid for Ragman eventually. It's quite some time away, but you'll need it eventually. And then, yeah, you can craft the slings, the doors, make some money. Got a spare mag, got a painkiller, and the gamma. I like to leave it very empty. So very, if you got a standard account, what is it, alpha, may want to leave it even more empty, but I just have an IFAC, Kalak B, and a stack of LPS ammo. So we got, it's not, the idea is you loot a scav. Hopefully he's got a backpack, right? This is the interesting thing, right? Let's say he's got a better rig. It's going to take up more space. You take the CSA rig, put it in the sling because it'll fit right in the sling. And now your sling goes from a 2x3 to it goes from holding 6 slots to holding 10 slots, okay? So because you fill everything in the rig and then put that in there and then you wear the scavs rig, like maybe it's a Tarzan rig or whatever. The dream is you get a backpack, but we're going dirt cheap, hyper efficient, and then obviously the SVT's there to make us formidable against players. Because as long as you can get the 2 shots on them up close, like the thing with the SVT I find, I was talking to Giga earlier, is just that up close it just shreds. Like those players I fought, all of them were like within like 5 meters. Like it was 5 to 10 meters. Like it just shredded them. They just stood no chance. Maybe if they had better ammo, would have been a bit of a like if they had BP or PP in their AKs. The other guy had a Keter, so he kind of like stood no chance unless he.
Were you
me,
running
but...
Packer in that raid?
No, I was running the class 4 rig, rat rig.
Okay.
Yeah. This is like minimum mid-max times squared, you know? It's like maximum output for minimum costs.
Yeah. It's just like, I don't want to get buckshotted, but everything else is just going to let in.
Yeah. We're throwing away everything except for our gun, trying to upgrade as best we can, but namely get in, get out. Okay. Next one. I guess we'll just go to the next one. It's another SVT40 kit. I'm sorry, dude. This gun's too good. All right. This is the Shoreline kit I basically read. It's, you know, M32s. We upgraded. We actually got a helmet this time. We got the Ratnik, of course. We got
a Ratnik, I presume.
Yeah, I haven't been doing good about doing that. I've just been kind of lazy, but you should be doing that.
I will say, right, most of the time, especially in US evening, bleachers have been like 15, 16k.
Yeah, those have been pretty close.
So I bought a bunch when they were 12.
If you can do that.
I was like, oh, so I grabbed a ton. But the rest of the time, I've just been like, I might as well just buy from Presale. Like, there's no point buying these off from the flea.
Yeah, so again, we got the SVT40, but this time we brought in the PU scope to give us some flexibility because you can take it on and put it off in raid. You know, there's an animation, but it's there. I've been bringing in the PL15, and like I said, I haven't had the chance to pull it out and use it, but I use this gun for stir up, and eventually the first 2 kills I got just fine, but I did the third one later, like more recently in factory, and it's just I just had a rough time just with all the shenanigans going on. Anyways, it's optional. Not necessarily something you need to include. Okay, on to the rigs. We got the rat rig, of course, the class 4. You're gonna notice a trend. A lot of these kits do include some of the similar things, like, you know, the Ratnik helmet, the rat rig.
It's the good stuff, though.
It's, you know, don't, like, as much as I want to be creative, I also want to be practical, and, you know, BSGs, this is the options we got. So it's hard to go wrong. Like, my advice is anytime you have an opportunity, check Ragman and buy a rat rig. Like, I got 6 of them in my stash probably. So it's the way to go. Because it just gives you, like, for the price you're paying, it gives you a fair amount of protection.
I mean, it's just like the tiniest tangent. I just think it's almost unfortunate we've ended up going back to the rat rig, right? It used to be like 50k was the cheap one. Then they brought in these cool other rigs which had like good barters and stuff. You could only like buy one or whatever. And then they just increased the price of all the barters and then increased the rat rig to 70k. But all the other barters are like 80. So it's like, we're now just back to the way we were.
Yeah.
Except these other barters exist and the rat rig is 20k more. It's almost unfortunate.
Yeah, because even some of like the class 4 armors, you got that mountain camo one. Like, yeah, it's a class 4 and like it has 55 durability, which you think, oh, that means it's better. It's like, no, because it's like ceramic, I think. So it's like effective durability is lower than the rat rigs because it's Titan. So, and then it costs the same as the rat rig. So like, unless you need a specific rig configuration or you want to, you know, it's just kind of.
And that's the thing. The rat rig's okay. Like 4 2x1s and 4 1x1s. Like the Yule is like the one that's kind of borderline because it's like 4 2x1s and 2 1x1s. It's like, it's a bit tight, you know, and it's ceramic, but it is cheap. But yeah, these like the single individual armors, like the one you buy from Ragman, which is 80,000, I think, and it's the ceramic class 4. It's just, no, there's just no point. You may as well buy the rat rig instead.
Yep. So that's the rat rig. We got a spare mag. You could bring multiple, but just got one for here. A frag grenade because you never know when you just need to eat something and run away. I got my clip west side of you. You know, some PMC shoots at you. You get behind cover. You're just like, yee, and then just run. I love it, dude. Every time. We got the cat army bandage. I really like bringing in army bandages just to save on the resource. Because I do have a Salewa. You could obviously swap it for a card kit. It's I kind of hate. It's like I think it's on your video. If you bring a card kit, like sometimes you want to have a IFAK or something in the container, which
Like pre-injector case, yeah.
Yeah, and like I feel like with the Soleil you can get away of not having it in your container because like the thing with the IFAKs is you can use them in a craft later to make AFAKs. So if you keep them in your container and you use them down to like two 10 or whatever, then you can throw in a craft. You can get like really good value. Whereas like if you ever want to like, swap that out for another item, it's just like, well, you're losing out on that value. Maybe the item's worth more in the end, anyways. It's just, brain wants to do things. So I typically go with Soleil, and plus they, do pretty good on healing heavy bleeds. I mean, you don't want to do it, but if you ever need to,
yeah, like if you can barter for the Soleil as well, then it's not actually that much more of a leap, but you have to be on it, otherwise they cost a lot more.
Yeah, and you only can do one, at least with the raid or paid, whatever it's called, the roach spray. You can only do one per reset, and you save a little bit of money, but it is kind of tricky. So, yeah. And then in the container, I mean, we got painkillers, right? And annealing painkillers, the classics, and then the painkiller I just got Vaseline, Splint, Calic B, CMS, and a stack of ammo. Pretty standard stuff. It's interesting because I find I don't use the painkillers all that often, like in the container, like the big ones, but I do kind of want them there, just simply because if things go south, you want to have that option. Yeah. So moving on to the next tier, we're kind of moving up here. Got the AKSU. I mean, was there any other option really? I mean, there is, but this AK is just too good, man. You could buy it off the flea, relatively cheap. Make sure it's the UB, okay, because you get the most hidden stats value, okay, the most tightest spread, the most convergence by 0.01, okay. It all matters. Just trust me, bro. Same setup. We got the M32, the Ratnik helmet, mask, pistols to back up. The AKS-74 UB is fairly modded. The interesting thing is like the XRSU, the handguard / rail that sits on top. Because you get it from a quest, I think you get like one or two. They get dumped on the flea, and then that drives the price down because there's a higher supply. So you can get them actually like not all that expensive. They'll probably go up as more people start getting closer to the Punisher quest line. Unfortunately, but it's there. But anyways, we got that slapped on the laser, slapped on the CAC foregrip to give you a little bit more ergo. We got the suppressor. The suppressor's also fairly cheap. Rubber butt pad because I got it from Gunsmith. Unlock. The saw grip give us a little bit more ergo, and yeah, I mean it's whatever sight you want. Flashlight. It's not all that expensive. It fires really stable. I mean, the UB is just like you want like a go-to kind of gun. Don't really have to think too much about it. I'd say that's like the way to go.
Yeah, did you suppress it? Did you say?
Yeah, I bought when I built it, the parts. It was cheaper to build it individually, not do the barter or buy it from Prepper straight up.
Because Prepper's, I think it's like 70 or 80k. I think, something like that from him.
This was like the marginally cheaper.
Yeah, the PBS suppressor is pretty cheap actually. I think it all depends on the cost of the UB on the flea because that's where you have to get it, right? Like you can't buy the UB any other way. So if people are all sweating out for the UB, then it can get pricey. But otherwise, yeah, you've always got that backup. It's quite nice that you've got an option there to buy it from Prepper now because it used to just be the barter, I think, and now you can buy it in cash.
Yeah, I wonder when they did that. I
think it was this wipe. I think.
Really, that's interesting.
I think because I don't remember it being there because you could buy it like straight away as well.
Yeah.
And I did my, level 1 suppressed weapons, and it made it into that because it was like right from day one.
Yeah, it's pretty good
available
for day one.
Yeah, like it's a bit expensive. It's like 20% of all your starting cash, but it's a good gun. So
yeah.
The XRSU handguard is really cool as well. I had somebody ask me on stream, they're like, "How did you get the optics so close to your face on the 74U?" And I was like, "Oh, it's this handguard because it gives you the rail at the back. You don't need to use the B10 mount, or is it B14 mount? I can't remember." The little mount at near the front.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do it with the rail as well. To be fair, you don't need that handguard necessarily, but it's just good for recalls. You could put like an Axion Cobra on it or something. B18 mount. So thank you, chat, for correcting me. But you could put B18 mount on it as well. But a lot of people just use like that top mount with the normal the normal one, and that's makes it quite far forwards, which is a bit, I'm not that keen.
Yeah, good gun. We again combined with the rat rig, we got a grenade, we got Salewa. This time though, I'm opting for adrenaline. I think I maybe ran it once. I'm not sure if I don't think I got to use it. But since I think you talked about this, Giga, so I won't spend too much time on this. But since painkillers are bad now, as we all have concluded, we don't want to be on them. So unless it's absolutely necessary. So adrenaline's actually pretty good because it only lasts 60 seconds, which is 20 seconds less than your regular aniline painkillers. And you get like a bunch of bonuses: recoil control, movement speed, strength. Endurance, strength. Heals you a tiny bit. It's not a lot, but it basically you get shot at. Oh shit! Pop my thing. Fight back or run, whatever you want to do. You got. I think it's pretty good. It uses 2 seconds versus the painkillers. Are they 5 seconds or I think they're 3 seconds actually? Yeah, I think it's 3 seconds use time.
Imagines, I can't remember. Really?
I think it's 3, so it's a little bit faster.
That sounds really short. They are 3. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it though. I'll say that.
Not when you need it.
Yeah. Like, damn it, just get it out of there.
Exactly.
Yeah, but so we got the CAC and the bandage, day pack, backpack. You could use the burk hood if you like that. I just go with the day pack because it's lighter, even though it has penalties, which pretty standard stuff. Again, we got an IFAC in the container, Calic B, Vaseline, Splint, CMS, stack of ammo, the usual stuff. Okay, you got 2 slots if you want to bring in a docs case. Which, by the way, there's a lot of keys on streets, and I have 2 dock cases for my streets around, just so I could get. There's keys in the one's completely full of keys, the other one's got maybe half full of keys, but then you got all that space for all the random Bakeezy books and whatever, good stuff.
Great.
Okay, moving on.
Which number was that? Was that one?
That was number 3.
3? Okay.
Number 4. Okay. The G36. Okay. It's the exact same kit, but we have a G36C. Okay. It's literally the exact same kit. I I wish I could be like more creative, but it's just like I can't really. I don't know. I just feel confined to use the stuff that's good. Sorry, no STM. Anyway, we'll get to that. But yeah, so I'll just go over the build because the kit's literally the exact same as far as the gun build goes. Right. So G36C, I think you forget it from Peacekeeper 2. I think Mechanic 2, you can buy the recoil stock. I didn't have that when I made this, but now I do. So that's an option if you want to get a little bit more recoil. Pretty standard stuff. We got a sight. We got the RK4, which is pretty good. I think there's a better one you can get later on. Just slapped on a flashlight on the side. And the new sight on top. And for the muzzle, I went with the War Comp, whatever. Yeah, Surefire War Comp, whatever you get from like Skier, I think it is. And then
that's the Skier Surefire.
Yeah, and I did that, and then I'm prefer the mini monster, simply for the extra ergo. Like yes, the recoil from like the other ones is nice, but since the gun's already so vertical in its recoil, like you just basically are, when you change the recoil, when you lower it, you're just lowering how far you have to pull down, like, or whatever, So it's, for me, I like the mini monster, not because I want to be different or look how special I am. My gun's cool. Okay, maybe a bit of that, but that's why I like the mini monster. There's a barter too on Skier, I think. You think it's like I can't remember. A VHS tape, which right now it's not worth doing. They're pretty expensive, but at some point it's usually worth doing. I'm not sure why it's expensive. Maybe some hideout thing, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's kind of expensive. I think the VHS is used for something else, which it kind of, I think it is anyway. Let me just find it for a sec. Where is it? This is called the Cyborg Killer, isn't it? I can't find it. Where is it on the wiki? That's really annoying. Ugh. No, I was just intrigued because you reminded me. Yeah, it's the dog tag case. That's the one.
Oh, they changed
And
that?
people, you can just like, yeah. So it's now not the USBs. It's now military flash drive and a video cassette with the cyborg killer movie. And I think
Oh
you can actually
man.
just cycle it. So I think you can buy from Jaeger and sell it to therapists. And I think that still makes money doing that.
Come
So that's
on.
why it keeps the price of the VHS quite high.
I
Unfortunately,
guess. Yeah.
one thing that I was intrigued about though, like, yeah, it costs a little bit more, but you just made me think about it actually, which I hadn't really thought about before. Which was I normally go like regular monster or RC2 and just don't change the stock. But if you change the stock, you lose some ergo, but you gain like
Mhm.
5, or you get a bunch of recall. I can't remember exactly what it is in percentage.
Mhm.
I'll have to go and check. But then if you go mini monster, you lose a bit of recall, but then you gain the ergo back. And I'm not sure which way round ends up being better because it's like you get a lot of ergo for the mini monsters. It might actually be optimal. And like, yeah, you pay a bit more for the suppressor and a bit more for the stock, but it's going to be maybe a better gun overall. I can't really remember.
It might be simply because the ergo change is flat, whereas the percentage, the recoil is a additive percentage off the base. So might be more diminishing returns going one way than the other.
Yeah, because that mini monster's 7%, and the regular monster's 9, but the ergo is 7 versus 16. So you gain what is that, 9 ergo?
Yeah.
But lose 2% recoil. Whereas the stock, when you swap the stock over, you go from 27 to 32%. So you gain 5% recoil, and you lose 6 ergo. So doing the overall combo, you probably gain 3 ergo, and you gain, what did I say? Was that 5? And that was 2. So you gain 3%. So you gain 3% recoil and 2 ergonomics by doing that switch. But it's going to cost you, mini monsters 45k, I think. So it's going to cost you 15. So it's probably 30k overall to gain 2 recoil and 3 ergo.
Don't know if that's
probably
worth
fairly
doing.
priced. Is that
Yeah.
fairly priced? Maybe. I mean,
Maybe.
it's like an extra foregrip.
Yeah. Imagine if you could just put an extra foregrip on your
Just
gun.
on the side. Just like
like you got the canted one and just the regular one right beneath it. It's like,
Yeah.
which one do I? You just
and
grab them.
that makes it makes the G36C really short because
Yeah,
the mini monster doesn't extend the gun, right? Because
but that's
it's
good for
only
the
suppressor.
opponents.
It is, but I think the actual physical. I don't think the physical length of the gun matters. I think it's the block size of the gun that matters for clipping. I think somebody tested this and told me in chat at one point. I never tested it myself.
Oh, I see.
But I think the block size determines the clipping. I think I'd need to go and check that actually. But either which way, it's shorter.
Yeah, it is short.
And maybe helps around dorms or something. I could have done with that when I was doing my dorm skills.
Yeah, so that's basically it. I mean, it's like I said, it's basically the exact same kit as the AK, but we swap out for G36. So it's kind of whatever you prefer, or quest related, I guess. So the final one I got is called Silent but Deadly. Now, this one is the true RP enjoyers, okay? The true tactical. All right. But I want to warn you, it's a little pricey, okay? So the idea is, you got a quest. You really want to get it done, but you want to be like as prepared as possible. Okay. Here's what you do. Okay. You buy the SVT. All right. You got the M32s. Okay. This time we've upgraded to the U-Lock. We're going big. Okay. We want to protect ourselves from that crazy headshot. Hopefully they don't have something like a LPS. Actually, yeah, no, you would die with LPS, yeah. Hopefully they don't have an SVT and hit you in the helmet. But you should be able to stop 90% of rounds this time of wipe, okay? Maybe more like 80, I don't know. Results will vary. Okay, you got your balaclava. For your primary, I went with the MP5 SD.
That is an interesting choice.
Yes. So I wanted to do the STM. But I crunched the numbers, and I've determined that STM is not good. It's not good. Dude, this is the thing that like irks me, right? Is like with like how they balance stuff, right? They do the rework on all the guns, right? But like the STM, it has more horizontal than the MP5. But like you would think like it's single fire, like it should be good at like it just irks me, man. Like it's just not good. Like there's just no reason to use it. Absolutely none. Like, who cares that it snaps to center faster? Like, it just doesn't really matter, dude. Just use the MP5. Okay, you're like trading, twice. You're trading like half your rate of fire for like something that snaps back to the center slightly faster. I don't even think it has less recoil on like the actual stats. So it's just like it doesn't make any sense.
I can feel a very small but loud, angry niche bubbling up already.
Damn it. I want to use my STM and feel good about it. Okay. Yes, MP5 SD, if you do the quest from Peacekeeper, I think it's like a better, I don't know. I didn't really look at it. It might be cheap. Maybe, it might be cheaper than building it outright from like Peacekeeper.
Oh, yeah, it normally is. If it's the same as before, I think it's scrap metal.
Yeah.
The one where you have to mark the T whatever tanks on shoreline. Once you've done that, if they didn't change it, which I don't think they did, I kind of like whipped through all of those and I was like, oh, I can buy it now. And then, yeah, you can buy it from him for like $450 or something. It's like, it's pretty cheap, actually, given that you don't need to do anything to it. Like, it can't take a foregrip, it's not allowed. It's already got a muzzle device on it. You just need to put a sight on it and a laser. That's it.
Yeah.
Very cost effective for what you get, actually.
Yeah. And that's part of the reason why I went with it too. I mean, it's not exactly cheap. Like, I think I had to build outright, so it's around like, it gets more expensive once you factor in the sites and everything, but it's like $100K plus. But
it's not too bad though. Like it's
yeah, I mean, but we got a flashlight, we got a nice sight. We're not really compromising too much. Now, I am using PSTGZH. Once I get APC, I'll get just vomit. Once I listen, I may have shot at 3 different PMCs and may have not killed them, but I survived and they also survived. So it's a win-win. I was just like warning them, don't come over here. I got a really fast shooting BB. Okay. But it's 25 recoil. The hidden, the hidden stats are pretty good. And it shoots fairly well. I mean, I like it for taking out scavs. The one downside, it's not that accurate. Well, it's not that precise. You can land a lot of shots on target, but depending on how far out you go, the MOA is 7.78, which is just not ideal for like 50 plus for like precision single shots. So sometimes like scavs are a little iffy. But to compensate for that, we have the VPO 215. Now, I included the suppressor. Well. Yes, as well. We're bringing in 2 guns. Okay. So we got the MP5 for like close to mid, and then we got the VPO for long. Now, the other bonus with the VPO is we can do shooterborn with this. So we're min-maxing, right? Because, I mean, we got the MP5, what are we going to do if we're pin the guys far away, whatever? Like, we're going to want to take an opportunity to get the shooterborn done. I mean, you got to get 5 of them on every map. So we got that with the sights. I went with the Trihawk because you get 2 from the quest, and there's a ton of them being dumped on the flea market, and it's really cheap. It's like a 3x. It's pretty good. Like I like it. The only thing I don't like is the sensitivity, but that's neither here nor there. You can choose to put a suppressor on it. I did include it for the thematic build, but it's fairly expensive. I don't know if it's worth doing. It's an option, okay? But we're silent but deadly, so we gotta have the suppressor. And of course, we got the PL-15 pistol because why not? It's optional. Okay, the pistol and the pistol.
My word, 3 guns.
3
Jed.
guns.
You're absolutely balling out of control.
The one thing I will say, you could substitute the MP5 for the Keter B if you want more DPS in quotation marks, because it does shoot faster. It's not as stable, but it does shoot faster. And there's a round you can get at Prepper 2 that has like 28 pin or something, which is, it's a step up from PSTGH, but the damage is really low. It's like 39. I forget what it's called.
Oh, well, PBM.
Yeah. And there's basically 2 routes you go. You could go that if you want like something that might be able to get should do better against like class 3 armors. But like, my thought is I'm gonna use this low recoil gun to get headshots with like the MP5. But if you want to do leg meta, you could do some of the other rounds, like SP7 is pretty good. I don't think you can get SP8 till Quest or buy it or craft it or something. But
SP8 is apparently Prep 2 now.
oh, okay. Well, but I think one of the leg meta guns is leg meta ammos is quest locked, but there's options out there.
SP7 is quest locked. Glory to the CSQ
okay,
as well.
that's the one I got it mixed up.
PSV. Well, that's actually the damage one. I'm just looking at the chart. That's the highest damage one in number 18. That's 77. Second most damaging PSV, 69 damage, and it's also the fun internet number, and that's Jaeger level 1.
Okay,
the
yeah,
PSV is the leg boy.
The way to go, yeah. It's an option. I think there was, I think those are the only two that really. You could do an AK, but I don't know. At that point, your weight starts becoming an issue. You already got you dropped the 2-1-15 at that point because now you get something that's a little bit better range. Anyways, moving on to the armors. I went with the Anna M2. So I bought this off the Flea, but if you get Rag 2, there's some like okay barters. I think the better barter to do is the M1 rig. Because you can take your, if you're like me, I'm saving all of my Akomaris and Kvass, and I drink them like 1 out of 60, and I'll just use them for the M2 barter. And it's a good.
That's right. Yeah,
you get
that's
more.
3, I think now.
Oh, is it? Shit. Well, I'm gonna have a lot of barters when I get there, but you could buy. You could just. This is the other thing. You can craft it if you want. Like you could do there's a craft on Laboratory 3 that takes 2 of the Class 3 body armors from Prapper, which you can get for a barter from Prapper via the propane tank.
Oh yeah, that's the 6B23 green boy.
Yeah, so if you want to like craft it for yourself to use, that's an option. I personally just buy the armor because I just want something to last me a little bit longer in raid in case we take multiple shots from low caliber rounds. So that's why we upgraded the rig. Also more looting space, which I like. And we got the mechanism because it's a really big backpack. Yes, you can't fit, it's a little awkward to fit some stuff in, but it holds a lot of slots. It doesn't weigh a lot. It's also hipster, so it's right up my alley, right there with the STM9. And you're going to want to bring spare ammo, for sure. PSTZH, like 2 stacks, bare minimum. And the ammo's really cheap, so, feel free to swap it out with like a power cord, for example. Because that's like 40k you can just throw inside of your hideout for crafting. And yeah, that's the silent but deadly Giga Chad get shit done. But this is the key though, is like you get maximum value with the shooter born when the opportunity rises. Loot everything and everything. Okay, fill your bag up, but you just take your time, right? You just move slowly. This isn't like, the SVT rat. This is where you just like rush to the pocket watch over whatever, like, you gotta play at the SV98. This is the kit, you just don't care. Boom. But this one, silent but deadly, we're taking it nice and easy, we're being tactical, we're not very methodical. That's the motif of this build.
I like it. They're cool. That's good. I like the ideas. It's definitely worth considering. Like, I don't normally take 2 guns ever, really.
Me neither.
But I sort of like the idea with the shooterborn, because shooterborn's different. I haven't really tried with shooterborn yet. Like I did, before I like whipped up just a couple of ideas about what was good. Like, what's on my list? AK-74 UB, G36C.
Our list was going to be the same, I guess.
SVT. And then I've got VPO 215 plus pistol, and with the suppressor. So that's kind of like the same vibe, except it's just it's like the PB that you had on the other one plus the VPO, because I've actually run that a bit at least. And the only one that I had on there that wasn't on yours was the RFB, but I've not even seriously used that myself. But it's because I just don't really use DMRs early. I'm not a big DMRs guy anyway. Like, I kind of used the SVT sort of begrudgingly to see what all the fuss was about. And I'm like, it's good. I just don't like DMRs, like in general. So I'd rather have something that just goes womp 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 with the fun switch, It's just the way I play the game early, especially. But I think it's good. I mean, we pretty much touched on everything that I was thinking about. Like the armors wise, like I do agree the rat rig is probably like the de facto go-to now. The only other one, like I have actually run the Ulay quite a lot, the one from Jaeger with the barter, the soap plus toilet paper.
Yeah.
Because it can be like really cheap if you buy the components and you just like I just throw it away. I use it once and I just sell it to Fence or whatever. Because it's like if you can get soaps for like 7k, which they do go down like that, that's 21,000. And toilet papers are sometimes like 4 or 5,000 rubles. You need 4 of them. So you could sometimes get it for like 21 plus 16. It's like 37k for a class 4. Like you can basically sell it to Ragman and make money almost. It's like at that level. It's just crazy. So, but it's like super heavy, so you can't go in with like a big kit. So that's like the other consideration. If you just want class 4 and it's you want the cheapest possible class 4, that's like one that you can do. And like, you get a rig with it as well. Like, you just got to make sure the guns are light. The other thing, like I liked your helmets progression. I think that makes sense as well. I've actually been using a lot of TC2000 helmets myself because the class 4 we talked about, right? It helps a lot. I've had a couple of situations where actually I've had a few situations where it saved me and dinged off. I had one where I did die, but the guy had to shoot me twice. You could see on the death screen, it was just like the first shot. Well, actually, one kind of unfortunate thing. The first shot penned, and I didn't die with PP. And the second shot got like saved by the helmet, but the blunt killed me because I already taken the damage on the first shot. So if you get shot in the head, the second shot won't save you from the second shot, even if it's a blunt damage shot, because they increased it a bit. I don't know whether that would have been the same before, actually. I can't remember. But either which way, the TC2000, I think they're good value. They're like 40-something K. And especially this point in the white, I think it's all right because lots of people are still using... I've run into people using PS ammo in AKs all the time, and that's like 30 pen. It just won't go through. Loads of people using PP. Like, as you say, you get shot in the head once. People using BT, you get shot in the head once, it won't kill you. That's the beauty about 56A1. Like, 56A1, it'll go through 50% of the time. But when it does, they die because of the damage. Like, the 56 damage or something is a long way away from 545. So if you hit someone in the head with a class 4 and it does pen, the 55% chance, it kills them outright. You don't have to hit them again, like with the 545 guns, which is interesting. It's like one big reason for using 556. So that's kind of cool. Rigs-wise, I always use the Tarzan. I use the Tarzan constantly because I do that Jaeger 2 barter for the matches, and it costs like 7k. I just use that rig all the time.
The only thing about that is, I mean, I'm just kind of brain dead. I like to insure everything. And I kind of hate this relationship, but I find like if you get something for a really good price, it almost feels bad to insure it. Like in your case, you're getting a 12,000 valued item for like as low as 6,000 rubles, and your insurance is like a third of what you paid. Whereas like if you bought it outright, for like 12,000, then it's not that bad. It's kind of an annoying thing, but I guess you just don't insure is the solution there. So
I know what you mean. Yeah. Well, I actually insure them because hardly anyone, like people don't really like taking Tarzans because they're kind of awkward. They don't pack very well. They're like 3x4. So what I do is I insure them, and when I get them back, I just take them out of my inventory and I just sell them straight to Ragman.
Mm-hmm.
So when I always buy, like I very rarely recycle Tarzans, which is kind of weird. And when I get them back, I just like sell them straight away because you end up like making money, right? Because it's like you bought it for 7. And then you insured it, and then you get it back. You can sell it to Ragman for 12. Doesn't take up any inventory space. When I need another one, I just buy a hunting match and trade it with the Jaeger. They're always cheap, no matter how much I talk about the Tarzan. They're always cheap. There's just too many hunting matches in the game, and they're not useful for anything else. So they're always cheap. They're never over 12k. You could technically do that barter and make money always, but it's people just can't be bothered. The other thing that you touched on that I wanted to just like expand on a bit was the adrenaline or like analgin painkillers versus like long-term painkillers thing. Like I've been using adrenaline basically every raid now, which is kind of cool. So I have, because you said you don't really use the long-term painkillers that much, and neither was I, especially when I was using the analgin painkillers. But I just don't really like analgins. They like smash your hydration, and they just kind of suck. And they're like still like 8-9k if you have to buy them off therapist. So I'm like, fine, I'll pay 10k more for the adrenaline. I only get a 1 shot with it. But if I need painkillers, I'll use like ibuprofen in my container. Like if I need to like pre-med and sprint across a road, because I have had situations like that on streets where I run out and there's a scout goes, Worozuka, and then you like duck back in. They're like, okay, well, I can't really go any other way. I don't know where he is. It's a left side peak. I don't know if there's any other players or anything. So I'll just grab the ibuprofen, pop that pill, and then just like peg it over the road because I don't want to use this adrenaline. But yeah, the adrenaline goes away super quick as opposed to the propofol. It only heals you for 15 seconds, but you get +4. So, like, yeah, you get more heal from a propofol overall because it's +1 for 300 seconds. So you do get 300 HP in total from a propofol. But if you're in a clutch fight, if you get shot or need that health anywhere from second 0 to 60 seconds, you are actually better off having the adrenaline. Because by 59 seconds, you've only healed 59 points from a propofol.
Right.
Whereas the adrenaline healed you 60 in the first 15. And then it's gone. Which, yeah, fine, it's gone. It's like not quite as good for, min-maxing black limbs. Yeah, but in the grand scheme of things, it's just like, well, I think that's probably better now because it's relatively cheap and whatever. So I've actually been using them and I think they're good. And then, yeah, the effect goes away after 60 seconds. So, once the fight's over, like you're either out of there, you're like running away, or you're like, in the fight and they're dead or you've won, usually in that situation. So I do think the adrenaline's pretty good right now. Like I actually crafted a load of propofols because they're still about 20k. They're still decent meds, right? But because golden stars and ibuprofens are so cheap, you can craft them because I finally made the med station level 3. You can craft them really cheaply with golden stars. Golden stars are like 50, ibuprofens are 30, something like that. And then you have a couple of pile of meds, and then you can make 7 propofols and then sell them for 20,000 rubles each. It's pretty nuts, actually. So I've been starting to do that craft rather than using propofols myself, which is kind of cool. Yeah, so like I think I agree with you on pretty much all of the loadouts, to be honest with you. It's I usually to have the same kind of armors and that kind of stuff that across all of the different kits, depending on what I want. Like I think for most people these days, like Prapple 3 is really the main goal, because then you can go and buy Koruns at least. And the Korun's not amazing, obviously. You can still get like the upper end of class 4 busting stuff like BT and even PP in like 56A1. If you let somebody just shoot you 5 times, you'll still die with the Korundon, even though it's class 5, just because of its low durability. But there's lots of situations where it's crazy and you just, gives you a lot of value. So I've been like starting to move into that where I can, which is pretty nice. But yeah, otherwise, like 74 UB is really good. If the UB is really expensive, you can still use the UN and it's like close enough. G36C is pretty much interchangeable with the MDR, the SCAR, the M4, depending on what you like, but they're all good. Their G36C I just think is particularly good right now. SVT and RFB, like RFB is so cheap with the barter, and then like the VPO for doing shooter-born with a pistol. Like I haven't had pistol hot swap save me in a PMC fight yet, but I have had it save me in scav situations when I was using the SVT, and I just like couldn't use it because I'm just a scrub and I have skill issue with that gun. And I was just like, oh, let me just use the PB, and I'm just like, and just like take out a load of scavs with the pistol, and then I go back to just like ham fisting the SVT with the irons. It's just, oh man, I just find it so hard. It's just not my gun.
What FOV do you play at?
61, I think now. I was like slowly ticking it down bit by bit by bit.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I just don't like the way when you lean, like the irons misalign, so you can't, like, you have to be still to look through them even. It's just like so awkward, dude. Like, so awkward.
I mean, the only time I ever really used the irons is like to get them like in like headshot basically. Like you get their head inside the circle and then you use the little pointy
post
thingy. Yeah, the little post to, line it up. But otherwise, it's kind of just like spam, aim in the direction, spam mouse one, and pull down until they're dead.
I find it just doesn't work that well. But the thing I would say, I did start using it the other day just for kind of running some budgety kits, and I've gotten better with the PU. It doesn't zoom in as much as I thought.
Yeah, it's kind of misleading.
It is kind of usable, and also there's like a weird double-edged sword with the optic being small. It's that you can use the peripheral more easily. And it doesn't zoom that much, so you only miss a bit of screen real estate around the scope. So if you're kind of like off to one side, you can actually then see somebody and then like kind of track onto them quite quickly, or like look over the scope and then track onto them quite quickly. Like it's not really optimal, but that sort of helped me a little bit. And so I've been using the scope at a bit closer range to kill scouts mainly, but I'm getting a bit better with it. I think it just depends on how much of that kind of like low ergo DMR stuff you use, and like I just don't do it very often, so for me I'm like kind of out of practice in using it, but I've got better as I've gone on. Just the irons, man. I just like so bad. I just should stop using them over such a long distance. They should just really be for close range. Everything else, I just use the PU.
That's the thing is like I think that's the only reason you really use the PU is like I was playing streets, and sometimes it's very difficult because you don't know when you should be having the PU on and when you don't. I do find that kind of challenging, but someone was like across the street, and they were running. I put on the scope and I was aiming at them. They ran out and I shot and I didn't see where they went. I thought maybe I killed them, and sure enough, I guess I headshotted them. And but yeah, that's kind of like it's basically going for like those headshots, or like those distant shots. It feels good, but it is kind of difficult because especially with streets, you don't know when you want to have like if you're indoors, obviously I don't want the scope, but like if I'm moving around from like building to building, but like from street to building, it's like I want the scope for long distance in streets, but then like if he's right there in the building, then I don't want the scope, so it's actually pretty tricky.
Is this why you got the double the SVT build?
the legendary double SVT build. No. I mean, it probably would work, honestly. If you were really desperate or just wanted to, go labs or something, you could probably bring a SVT naked and do just fine, honestly. Dude, the gun's crazy, I think. But no, the one thing I wanted to say about armor was I find like all of my kits primarily they cover stomach and thorax, and I find that I'm starting to think that if you're gonna go for like a ceramic armor, you want to have it to only cover your thorax, because if it's gonna cover your stomach, because it's ceramic, it's gonna like disintegrate much faster than something like aramid, for example. That I think that's why. What's it called? What's that one class 5 rig that's like a 2x? It's got like 2 or 4 2x1s. It's like black. It's class 5. It's just a rig. It only covers your thorax. It's like 40 durability.
You're not talking about the class 6 one, are you?
Oh, it is a class 6 one. Yeah, I'm sorry. It is a class 6 one.
Yeah, the TTSK.
Yeah, I think that one's good because it's like, it doesn't cover your stomach. You get more mileage out of the shitty material because it's only covering one part. Whereas like, some of the other rigs that are class 4 that cover your stomach and thorax, I want them to be like highest material as possible.
That kind of makes sense, yeah. It's a bit like, Redoute M, which has like crazy durability, covers thorax and stomach. So you get shot in it, but it's like you get shot in the stomach, doesn't matter so much. It's kind of like, it's like the Zabralo thing. It's like Zabralo is fine, it covers arms because it's the durability on it is so high. You're getting shot in the arms a few times, like your thorax is still kind of okay. All of this is going to go away with the armor hitbox like rework. So I'm like, thank God, because it's like one of the worst mechanics to have to think about. But yeah. I actually kind of agree with you though.
Yep. That's thought. Alrighty. I think there's something else about. Yeah. Overall, I just wish there was more options to choose from. But we'll probably do this again. I imagine, like later in the wipe. Maybe we'll just do guns or something. Oh, I did want to say that's what I was gonna say. The AUG. I think there might be consideration for AUG, but only the A3. But you really need Peacekeeper 3 to do that, and the 42 rounders. Like I don't know, it's weird because it has less recoil than like a G36, like the base.
Yeah.
But because it's a bulb up, like sure you can put a suppressor on it, but you're only like reducing it by like 2 points because it's a bulb up, right? Like the starting is already low, and you're losing like a crap ton of ergo. It's just I don't know, and like the hidden stats aren't that great.
I think it's the horizontal on that guy that makes it problematic. I used a AUG the other day, but an AUG A1, but with the A3 upper like switcheroo hack to make it actually usable because it was so much cheaper. But I just don't know if it's actually like worth it. The thing is, the AUG A3 is actually really expensive. I'm just like, I don't want to pay. I want to use the AUG A3 because it's just like kind of bad. But like the A1's like horizontal is not very good.
Yeah.
But with the recoil being so low, then you think, well, maybe that's fine. But I died against 2 guys using 9mm, and it was really embarrassing with 42 rounders.
Not the
it was the worst fight ever.
Was it the
terrible.
silent but deadly kit he had?
No, it was just like it was just two guys. I probably made their day. I can't remember what I had on, but it was just like they just couldn't kill me. It was crazy. I should have been like dead. Like I should have killed. Like it was weird. I should have killed both of them in about like 2 seconds. I was just unable to hit them for some reason. Like I shot both of them. I had something stupid. It's like one of those ridiculous fights where you end up with like 580 damage on 2 players, and you're just like, God damn it! Like they're both like like they're like hanging on by like a string. There's 2 of them, and you're like freaking hell. And they just couldn't kill me either. I was just like all red, like all black, just could not pen my armor, like could not take me down. Like I was like reloading and like turning around, doing like battle bit style stuff, just like shaking from side to side so they couldn't see my face hitbox because I had like the Ratnik on, so or maybe even the TC. I think I might have had the TC on, so I'm just like turning full 180, so all they can see is like legs, arms, the back of my thorax hitbox and the stomach hitbox, and then like top and nape, and that's it. So I'm just there like wiggling around. They can't hit my face. I like turn back around with my reload, like spray again, but one of them's hidden behind the corner. Like it's actually the biggest downside to the painkiller thing. I was taught because I got stuck basically, and I was around a corner. It doesn't really matter where it was. I was around a corner, jumped out, fired, didn't kill the guy, and then had to reload. But the guy blacked my leg. This was the predicament I found myself in. I didn't know there were 2, so I engaged the first one as he ran in. Should have killed him, but didn't because I just whiffed him. So he blacks my leg. I then like go round the corner, and I'm faced with a dilemma, which is I either reload my gun, or I use the adrenaline,
or you use adrenaline, hit tab, and then reload your gun via the menu trick.
Yeah, that would have worked actually. That would have worked.
That's the
that's the pro play.
Niche Tarkov mechanic. Must know 5 tips.
That actually would have probably saved my life. But I think like in hindsight, because we're so used to being on painkillers, what got me killed was strafing with the gun. This nearly cost me kills all over the place. Getting hit in the leg, strafing without painkillers, and the reticles just like, oh my god, because you don't want to stand still. You're just like, well, I either have to just stand still and let the guy headshot me, and then I can actually aim, or I'm gonna like strafe and move so I might not die, which does work, but then I can't aim. And it's like you need to be on painkillers to stop the reticle sway. Like it's so brutal, dude. So I should have adrenaline first, regardless, even if I wasn't going to do the mag switch, because I almost feel like giving yourself the chance to reload and then fight is like better than taking the sway. Like it's so awful. It's killed me like so many times, or nearly killed me so many times. So, like I got really lucky one time and just like hosed a guy down, and I just hit a headshot on him. It like was no skill at all. It was just total fluke. Like I think probably in 2/3 of those fights he kills me. Honestly, I just got lucky that one time. I was on reserve. It's just bad. So like, I need to get back into the habit of popping that. But like with the adrenaline, it's like the time's so short. Oh, man, like with the Propitol, you've got like 5 minutes of painkiller, right? And this is the tricky part. It's like you have to make really hard choices now in the game, which is why I think that the game design is actually probably working quite well, right? We have to make really hard choices about whether it's PK or not, when to do it, which one to use, whether you want to deal with the after effects. Like it's complicated, whatever you think about the changes. And we talked about that last time. But from a practical perspective, just using the systems as they are, it's now quite difficult to make up your mind as to what we should do. It's it's intriguing.
Yeah,
intriguing. So.
I do find the limping animation a little weird, but that could just because I don't experience it a lot. Like I looked at it closely the other day, and like it doesn't look like it's like at a lower frame rate, not that it plays at a frame rate, but it just like, it almost looks like it kind of like stutters a bit, but maybe it's just because it's so exaggerated. I don't know. I can't really explain it, but and maybe that's because of all the post processing that goes on around the screen. But I think I typically, if I can't get rid of it, I just try to like stand still. As soon as you notice it, just like stand still and just hold down mouse 1 and hope for the best, because it is like, you are not kidding. It just goes way up there, way down. It's very exaggerated.
I feel that's the thing. It's like you're almost better off like you stand still and crouch, so at least you're moving. Like stand still, crouch, and maybe lean or something to just try to like
try something.
Translate your head in some way, so you're not just like stood there like stationary. It's just like that will just get you for sure. But yeah, maybe go prone even. Like it depends on where you are. Because like if you could be still, you may as well be lying down, but then your head's really obvious. Like it's just hard, right? It's just hard. I really haven't decided on what the best thing to do about it is, or whether you just take the PK effects, take the Propitol and just use the PK effects. I don't know. Like, is it that bad? Not sure.
It's tough. I mean, it's if we look at the market, I feel like the market is leaning more towards it is that bad. Because
It is, yeah.
the long ones are like really cheap. Maybe we'll see it change later in life. I don't know as far as like people opting for them, but it's interesting. Perhaps maybe
It is.
maybe they'll have to tweak some of these painkillers. Like honestly, if they made them last shorter of a time and had less penalties, like on the hydration energy, they might actually make more sense. Oddly enough, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's so weird how it's changed. But I actually feel that you might see a resurgence in painkiller effects. People right now are doing like the knee jerk, like I hate it, it's awful, I'll go without. But then now we're dying to, leg limp and things that like we never normally die to, and it's like, okay, maybe it was better to be on PKs because like that's the thing, you just never experience those kind of situations when you're on them all the time. And like I just don't think I ever died to leg limp before. I mean, I wasn't a frequent free painter either, but as soon as you get into a funny situation, like the Propital goes straight in the arm and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. So maybe people like will suffer some of these situations and think, maybe I will take something long term so that I can do that beforehand. But they've got such a long like charge in as well. Like it's what makes Propital so good. I don't know. I'm undecided.
I think we'll probably see once more people get their stem pouches, they'll probably start running adrenalines and just mass swap them out.
True. Yeah, because you can bring like 3 or 4.
Yeah, 3, 1 in the pocket, 3's probably plenty. I mean, it's like 20K.
It's kind of expensive, but
yeah, it's kind of expensive.
I guess you sometimes don't need them. It's not like you have to have all of them out.
They're in the pouch, right? It's like, what I mean? It's so... I don't know.
True. True. Very true. Very true.
All right. Let's wrap this bad boy up because I'm starving, dude. All this Tarkov talk got me hungry for some Tashanka. But that was the cast. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you all next week.
Catch you later.